blood always finds its level. There is coming a great separation of the waters from the waters. I remember the first time I realized God was real. It was one of the greatest moments in my life. Just realizing that made me know that the Bible was true. And I didn't understand it. I knew I didn't know that the Bible was true. And my job right then from day one was to then figure out what the Bible was saying. And I knew it was not going to be easy. Over 10 years ago. And the journey continues. And many of us are on that same path. And it is a narrow path. And we march on. The mysteries of God's creation, there's just nothing better. There is no searching for His understanding. All we can do is try to understand the gifts He has given us. This world is but a glimpse of His capabilities, yet it is the most beautiful thing you could ever imagine. His animals alone speak for Him. You will learn more about God from His creatures than you will from any scientist or anybody trying to tell you who God is. You will see Him in His creation. Now make no mistake, you are not to worship that creation. You are to worship the Creator. The Revelation story has initiated. This is the beginning of the end. And you are at the end of the internet right now. I don't know what lies ahead. All I know I'm supposed to do is one thing, and that's tell the truth and do my job as God above has appointed many of us to do. It is quite simple. Believe on Him, and you will be saved. He had to come from a reason. He did not die on that cross for nothing. And His name is Jesus Christ. How many times have you heard somebody say Buddha H. Muhammad? I doubt it. When you hear people take the word of God in vain, you hear Jesus Christ every time. That's why you know it's God. Because they don't use any other name when they mock God. They use that name. This entire world hates that name. Every time they've ever done anything to you was to hide that truth. They wanted to destroy the Bible. Well, you're without excuse now because it turns out we're on a flat earth and it's time to wake up. To Pillbox. Tonight we start a new plan. We have reached DEFCON 2 on this flat plane of existence. And God is putting the pieces into place. And make no mistake, there's only one truth, and that truth will be revealed. And it's only going to get easier from Him on out. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited. It is 6:02 west of the Rockies, south of the 33rd parallel. You're listening to Blood Always Finds Its Level. And this is the separation of the waters from the waters. This day, November 30th, 2017, we set sail into history. And I'm glad you can be here. We only are going to have a couple people show up, but this should be interesting. Anything is on the topic, anything under the sun. Of course, there's nothing new. But here we are. Joining me as the captain of this ship this Red October is Paula, aka Knowledge Scavenger. And this is your XO. Out in the chat, I see Victoria Sarton. Sergeant Victoria, God bless you for being here. And it looks like John Gishgala, another friend of mine. It's good to be here, Paula. How are you doing today on this fine evening, Captain?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Man, I'm just loving it. The more things change, the more they stay the same, and the truth is just getting easier and easier. That's unraveling itself right before our eyes. The one thing that's great about this flat earth is it has caused a massive separation. And to be honest with you, I like elbow room. I like to see a clear path. And when these scoffers approach unto us, when these scoffers attack us, it just gets that much easier. It's like I don't even have to
Right.
do the work anymore. These people are going to do it for me. And we've seen everything unravel right before our eyes. So today we have a new channel, the same mission. The difference is that we just have to secure some things for a little while, see how things go, and that's what this is. So it should be interesting. We'll see what happens.
Yep. Yeah, I guess for reasons why we would start a new channel, there's a bunch of different reasons and timings and things, just to have a focus, I think you could call it, of taking no prisoners, I guess you could say, because for too long, and it was appropriate, I think, for the situation before, where we were patient, we were understanding, we listened, we tried to get along with people. And it seemed as time went on, especially in the last 6 months to a year, that any kind of anything other than blunt, open, bold, aggressive Christianity was getting just shoved right out the door. And so it's not that we need to be mean, it's just that we need to be outspoken and have a place. It seems there's so many places that you can't go anymore because even the Christian community has lost its way. It seems that even, I'm not talking even necessarily about just the doctrinal issues, it's the behavioral issues and how Christians are so ready to just tear people apart for other Christians, just for having a little difference of opinion. And we need to unify, and it's not happening elsewhere. And if we have to start as we are with a skeleton crew, then so be it, because we need people who will take care of each other. We need people who will be counted on to be on the same mission at the same time, wearing the same uniform. And I don't know how else to put it. What do you think?
Well, my friends are scattered abroad. And the reality is, though, is that I just had to have something that I guess was more centered in a realm of telling the truth, and I guess getting rid of all the extra badges or baggage and cutting off the fat, making it just slim down to the absolute point of having nothing but the truth and cutting out everything else. And there's a lot of Christians out there that won't be able to join us. They're saved. It doesn't mean they're not saved. They just can't be on this same mission, because there is a difference between most of the truth and all of the truth.
Right. Not that we think that we have everything absolutely infallible or anything like that. It's just that there are certain things that are essential as far as what flows from the gospel. It's that you hold the Bible in the highest regard. First of all, you use rationality and not go off into such deep end as far as well, maybe it's all allegory and things. You can't have that kind of ambivalence. You can't have that kind of not assurance. What's the word I'm looking for? Lack of confidence in the Bible itself, because what else are you going to use for your standard of truth? And, people have visions. I'm not saying there's no more spiritual gifts or anything like that. I'm just saying that if you don't have the Bible to start with, then you're going to have a tough time working together. And that's what we're supposed to do as the body of Christ. And
Yep.
you're muted.
It's my sound difficulties. I'm sorry. Did you want to say something?
No, I'm done.
Okay, let me just turn that off right quick. Okay, hopefully this works a little bit better. Yep, just trying to multitask over here. But that's pretty much it. This is just an initiation. This is a new beginning. But make no mistake, it is the end of the internet. There is only one truth, and there's a lot of people speaking the truth out there. But it's when they say something And it's not anybody that I hang out with personally. Well, there are a couple people, but I haven't really talked to them when I hang up for a while. But there's a lot of big Christians out there that are wrong. I hope I'm not confusing people. My biggest problem are the Christians. Just so you
Right.
know, my biggest problem are the Christians that are saying that they're in the truth when they don't even know that women are equal to men. I mean, what year is it? 1720? I mean, so it's 2017, and I still got to tell people that women are just as important as men. Here's the crazy part. I'm telling this to women. Yes, miss, ma'am, sister, mother, grandma. Guess what? I know it might have been easier for you to say it's the man's job so you could sit back or whatever it was. Turns out that's not true. It turns out not only is that not true, but there are things that a man just can't do without a woman anyway, and including in the marriage system. That's where the biggest problem is, as the man is the head of the household. Well, yeah, the man's the head of the household. That means he has to die for you. That doesn't mean he's the dictator, and it doesn't mean that he gets to decide everything. In fact, if he decides things, and if you're not happy, then he has failed. And that's the way a marriage works. A marriage has to be a balance, and trust me, none of us can do it right. No man can do it right. And there's no way we can. There's no way we can't follow the law. The Jews couldn't follow the old law. The Gentiles can't follow the law. We can't follow the new law. And that's why Jesus Christ had to die for us. And the reality is
Yeah.
that we have to accept that. We have to accept the blood that finds its level on this plane of existence, and that blood is going to be everything. That's what it's all about, and that's why it says there's no Jew or Greek or Gentile, man or woman in the body of Christ, and it's that simple. Period. End of story. And it doesn't matter if you're black, white, yellow, or red. That's all there is. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's all about whether we even understand the gospel, because Jesus didn't come to put a shine and polish on Judaism. He didn't come to just say, pick up the pace on the law here and get everybody in their pink and blue boxes, or their, the priesthood. You got to listen to them. Here's the pecking order. He didn't come to do any of that. He came to do away with all of that. And he said so point blank. He said, as far as meeting together goes, he said, where two or three gather, there I am. He didn't say anything about clergy. He said that to the women of Samaria, that the time had come where people don't go to this mountain or in Jerusalem, but worship God in spirit and truth. And when he said it is finished on the cross, the curtain in the temple separating the holiest place from the rest of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. And this thing was like something like 3 feet thick or something like that. No human could tear it. And all of those things, and the parables about the not putting new wine in old wineskins and not mending an old cloth with a new piece, all are telling one message, and that is something really radical and new was coming, and that at the moment he gave up his spirit, that's when it was enacted, that all the things that the old law pointed to were fulfilled. It is finished. Tetelestai, it is paid in full. And there's nothing else we can do but accept it or reject it. And this takes care of a whole bunch of other things. If we just understood that about the gospel, and Jesus' own example at the Last Supper when he washed the disciples' feet and said, not so among you, to his power-tripping disciples, James and John, the sons of Zebedee, who wanted positions of power in his kingdom. He said, you got to be like a child. You have the greatest must be the least. You get under people and lift them up. Philippians 2:5-11, where he said he didn't, where it says, Paul writes about Jesus saying he didn't consider his being equal, with God as something to be jealously clung to, but he put it aside for a while, humbled himself, became human, and died on a cross. And he himself said, I did not come to be served, but to serve and give my life as a ransom for many. Put all that together, and what do you have? You have no more religious practice. You have no more sacred places or furniture or clergy. You have no more boasting about your flesh or your social standing. You have no more gilded cages. You have open, empty cages. You have no more burdens to carry, but the light one that Jesus promised. You are all one. You are the body of Christ. And in a body, the parts don't boss each other. The parts don't exclude each other. They don't, tie one hand behind the back so that the other hand can be in front and do all the bossing, for whatever reason, ever it's the flesh or you're standing or whatever it is. There isn't any. That's what I like about the finding its level, too. Level, even, the same. And there's only one head to this body, and that's Christ. And so it takes care of the Hebrew roots movement. It takes care of replacement theology of all kinds, whether it's the white supremacists or the black supremacists or the male supremacists or the female supremacist, whatever supremacist there is no supremacy in the body of Christ. And so if we just understood that, what a force of unity we would be. And the reason we're divided is because we're teaching division. We're teaching that, no, you have to stay in your little boxes. And we're teaching that if somebody reads the wrong Bible or doesn't have the same eschatology, prophecy view, that we're going to shut those people out and not even talk to them. We're going to mock them and treat them worse than we treat unbelievers, and then talk about the love of Christ to people. It just doesn't work. And that's why we're not a force to be reckoned with yet, because we can't get this unity thing figured out. And if we could just do that one step and understand what the gospel is, we'd really go somewhere. But it seems like there's hardly anybody that does that.
Right, that's the point, is that it turns out we've been lied to by a lot of people, and that's not even the only problem. There's also problems with just negligence and I guess egos or whatever, and then there's just other issues that I can't handle, that I don't even know about, that I'm going to find out about tomorrow, and there's a massive separation going on, and it hurts. That's how it works, so that's the truth, but there is going to be a small group of people to come together that are in a need to hear the truth, to have it verified for them, to maybe be reinforced, encouraged. And that's what a lot of people want. And that's what I wanted for a long time. So I'm going to do this for people that are just like me, very similar to me. Make no mistakes, we're not a cult of robots. And I have needed to be corrected recently myself. And I'm able to admit when I'm wrong and go, dang, oh, I didn't know that. Shucks, let me go ahead and fix this. This flat earth revelation that started 3 years ago really hit hard, and I loved it. I loved the flat earth so much. That's all I wanted to talk about. But the flat earth is just the beginning as far as relevance to the Bible, the only truth that there will ever be. It's absolutely encompasses all of those things. It encompasses all the truths, of course, but it's not just about the fact that we're on a flat plane of existence. It's about the fact that your spiritual being needs to be solidified, and you have to be honest with yourself. It's about putting all the pieces together. The fact of the matter is, the flat earth can be a death sentence. If you take the correct information and then misuse it, you're in bigger trouble now. The problem is, now you are going to be more without excuse. God says you're without excuse not because you were born on an island. God says you're without excuse because you're in the age of information and you have access to all these things. And now you're going to put yourself into a corner with your paintbrush and go, oh, maybe it's a virtual reality. And actually, none of this matters anyway. So I'll just continue to do what I do behind the scenes and nobody will know that I do this as well. And I actually live this lifestyle right now and blah, 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 blah. You're lost in the sauce, buddy. I'm sorry. You've gone over the edge of the flat earth, if there is one. You've lost your marbles. You've taken the flat earth, and you've now left naturalism with a version of uniformitarianistic principles. Now you've gone to Satanism. And they don't even know it, Paula. The vast majority of Satanists do not call themselves Satanists. In fact, they don't even believe in Satan. And that's exactly what Satan wants. And understanding that Satan's real is actually a lot more important than knowing the flat earth is real. I hate to burst your bubble, and you might need a little bit of extra milk with that pill, but that is the reality. Knowing Satan exists, if you didn't hear me the first time, is more important than knowing the flat earth exists. I'm sorry, it has to be that way. This is not for noobs. If I offend you, you are probably not ready to hear this anyway. That's why this channel is going to be for a very small portion of people, a very small minority. I'm not here to talk to thousands of people. I'm here to talk to maybe 5 or 20 or 30 at the most right now that I can think of. This is not for everybody. And there are some flat earthers out there that are really trying really hard. And, you know, there's Daniel 12, who's a new flat earther that, boy, he loves flat earth so much, but he doesn't realize that the flat earth is nothing compared to a lot of these puzzle pieces that we need to put together. Yes, the flat earth is a very big puzzle piece, but it is nothing compared to the ultimate truth, which is that Jesus is the only way, and that we have to repent. We have to change our lives. We have to break away from self-worship. Again, these Satanists do not believe Satan exists, and Satan loves that. And he has no respect for them. He loves the fact that these people are absolutely bamboozled, and he has no respect for them. You think he has respect for atheists that are mostly Satanists? And there are honest agnostics out there, but the fact of the matter is that Satan doesn't even like his followers that are following him unknowingly. Right. And then you got the other brainwashed sickos like the Anton LaVeys, and the oh man, we don't need to mention any names. There's so many perverted criminals on the internet because this is the cesspool of the world. But the fact of the matter is, and he doesn't respect them either. And they have a satanic statue, and those people are just doing it because they think they're the ultimate rebel. They think, man, I'm just such a Billy Bad Mama Jamma. Look at me. I'm going to wear my dark clothes and do the devil horns and tell people I'm a Satanist just to see their reaction. Oh boy, you went down the wrong road, buddy. But there's the reality here is there's only one way to the truth, which is Jesus Christ, but there's 1,000 ways to Satan. So all these other roads you're going down, you don't even realize who you're going to. You're worshiping yourself. I mean, oh man, I mean, where to begin with all the new revelation and flat earth? It turns out we've been bamboozled by a bunch of idiots that love themselves, and this is at best, guys. It could be much worse than this. Let me give you the fact about the general idea of the flat earth. The flat earth is not control. There's no such thing as control. People think they're in control. They can't even control themselves. How can somebody be in control of the flat earth when they can't even control their own destiny? Please get real. Please get real. You guys are getting too ahead of yourselves. But the reality is that these people, these big channels, are frauds. They're frauds. I'm sorry that Globebusters is a fraud. Do they know they're a fraud? I don't think so. I don't even think they know they're a fraud. I think they just love themselves. They love having a crowd. For some reason, they have 900 viewers. Their chat moves as if it has 120. But that's besides the point. Who cares about that? And I think that some of these people might think they're real, because they are really Satanists. They just don't know that is their title that was already picked out for them a long time ago, because they like the look of that fruit and they want to keep that fruit. And instead of actually having the knowledge, they want to pretend they're searching for the knowledge because they love putting that carrot out in front of the slaves. And if this is just another form of slavery, I don't care if you know that the earth is flat, you're still a slave. In fact, now you're more of a slave because now you're being controlled by idiots on the internet. Congratulations, you have stooped to a lower level now, realizing the earth is flat because you couldn't even take one step in the right direction with the greatest revelation in 2,000 years. Talk about a failure. You can't get any dumber as far as I'm concerned. That's about the dumbest thing you could have ever done. Here's what we'll do real quick, Paula. Go ahead and I want to do something real quick. Go ahead and take down the chat from sharing that. And why don't you just share the nice piece of artwork that you made as an icon the other day, whenever you get that up on your screen, because this is just an introductory channel. We're going to pass this initiation video around just to introduce the new channel. This is not to have really a gathering. This is going to be maybe just 2 or 3 people at the most, just as an introduction. This isn't really to we're not going to have a party tonight, guys. We didn't bring any cake and ice cream, so we're just going to have an introductory showing of deprogramming just to get this channel name out there. That we had to start somewhere. We don't even have the abilities to do the things we want to do. I can't even give you a link if I wanted to right now. I can't even give somebody controls. We don't have those abilities yet because the channel is brand new and it's probably going to stay very small, and that's fine with me. But to the regulars that are eventually going to see this, like the Chayan Cats and of course Victoria's already here, and a few others, Derek and Pete Van Veen and the guys that give us support. This isn't going to be one of those meetings because nobody's going to know about this meeting. So nobody's even going to make it to this until it's too late. So tomorrow when Paula does a show, or maybe Saturday or Sunday, the next time Paula does one of her early morning broadcasts of truth, then she's probably going to share this video, this initiation of Blood Always Finds Its Level, because we're just getting started. I'm just putting some new tires on the black Ram and tweaking some bolts here and there, changing some fluids. And I love this truth, and I'm not going anywhere. And this is just the beginning. And with that, oh, I love that picture. I really think that's a nice piece of artwork. Paula, who is the painter of that artwork? Man, that's a nice one.
Well, you know, God makes the clouds and all, but that this is something you know, Pillbox and I, you and I were talking about different things and ideas, and I just grabbed bits and pieces of photos here and there, and that's actually that submarine in the foreground is 2 different subs. We got some water that I copied and pasted and duplicated and blended, and some clouds, and then a face with, you know, just some dark eyes in it, and there's Jesus behind the cross shape, you know, leading the armies of heaven. So that's what's going on, and it's all blood red. And it was just kind of something we worked back and forth on the other day, trying to get that together. And if you go to the channel, you know, just the main channel, it should show a banner which has a little bit more detail in it. But yeah, what you were saying about the self-worship and all that, that is exactly what happened in the Garden of Eden. It was, you know, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the tree of conscience, you could call it. And the lure was, you can be like God. And that's exactly what all the me-isms are, the solipsism, which if you look that up, anybody who doesn't know what that word is, it's a religion you make up yourself that's all about you. You are your own truth. You are the measure of all truth. What's true for you isn't true for someone else. And there's a name for that. That is solipsism. And that's what all the me-isms are. Anybody who puts ism after their name or whatever it is, that's exactly what that is. That is what Satan wants you to think, is that you should be your own God. That is Satanism, whether anybody likes it or not. It's just because it's not the overt worship of Satan and you're not going out in the woods and doing sacrifices doesn't mean it's not Satanism. It just means that you don't know who you're serving when you're serving yourself. It isn't really you, because you're not the most powerful being in the universe. You can't create anything. You can't do any miracles. Some people can do a few magic tricks or think that they have some amazing powers with meditation or whatever. And there's a little bit that people can do, but that's always coming with a price. And so what that is what, you know, what Pillbox you were saying is that this is in fact Satanism. And when people say, or, you know, whatever it is, you talked about allegory or whatever it is, I think you mentioned something that gave me that idea, at least, where people just make up whatever they want to be true, or virtual reality. I think it was more something like that. If it's all virtual, then nothing is true, nothing is false. There is no point in pursuing truth, because just it's, you know, kind of a twist on the Mandela effect. The virtual reality is the same thing. Anything can change at any time, and therefore even your evidence is constantly changing. So you cannot find truth. And in fact, like I've said on some of my videos, if you do find it, people get mad at you because you're only allowed to look for it. You're not allowed to find it. Because they think you're arrogant when you say, I found the truth. No, you're not allowed to say that. Well, then why are you looking for it if you're not allowed to find it? That's what I don't understand. And you're absolutely right. It's all self-worship is Satan worship. There's just no two ways about it. I don't know if you're back yet.
Well, they're going to find out either way. I mean, you know, they're either going to find out the easy way. You can just listen to some people that actually know the truth, instead of saying, no, you can't know the truth while you pretend to look for it. If nobody can know the truth, why are you asking questions? Oh, that's called trolling. So you admit that you're a virtual reality troll. Well, what a wonderful title you have. And that's just, I'm sorry, I'm not impressed. And neither is the lolcat. That is just absolutely a form of psychosis. And the only reason that happens is because people will do anything to keep their high. They love staying high. They love the rush. They love the surge. That's why Albert Scam Einstein said, the search for truth is more precious than its possession. Well, I'm sorry, he was dead wrong. Having and knowing the truth is the greatest thing that you can ever experience. There is nothing better. That's why Jesus Christ says he is the truth. He's not just the way. He's the truth. That's why that if you I always tell this to people when I'm ever answering questions to a non-believer or non-Christians, my one demand of anybody out there who's not a Christian, who's not really taking the Bible seriously, I say just be honest with yourself. I demand that you're honest with yourself and care about truth. And I've even had it, 30 minutes later down the conversation when I'm explaining something like, won't it be great to know God? The person goes, no, that won't make me happy. And this is on live hangout. This is on Ponchos about a week or two ago, which I was just so impressed. I couldn't believe anybody would be dumb enough to admit that. You guys are supposed to be poker players. I'm not a gambler, but you're not supposed to show me all your cards. And you show me all your cards. I mean, I don't know who you guys are talking to, but it just shows that it is an extremely high form, maybe the highest form of stupidity. Here's the reality. Satan was not stupid, right? Satan was probably the smartest being God ever created. So guess what happens when he screws up? He's actually now the dumbest. He actually made the biggest mistake. So if you're a smart person and you love yourself and you think you're really good, and you scored really good in your high school exams, and you even shot a bird with a slingshot one time in the front yard and showed your dad by taking in the bird. Well, the fact of the matter is that you're still an idiot, because you are going to make mistakes, and if you don't want the ultimate truth, you're not. All that was for nothing. All your high school grades, your college, you name it, all the songs you make. Oh, you think you're a good musician? All your accomplishments. Oh, I've been a good person. Look what I've done, and I even gave my 75 cents to the child's daycare center funds for needy children who were from Africa who've never seen the light of day. Okay, good for you. But for some reason though, when it comes to the ultimate truth, that won't make you happy. Guess what? Everything you've done is garbage. Everything you've done actually has been given to you as the ability through spirituality, through your creator, Jesus Christ, your spiritual being, your engine system, your heart and your soul, whatever you want to call it. But there's a bunch of names. Your being, your spiritual being was given to you. So everything you've ever done and known was a gift, including the ability to work. And you don't even like work. These people don't even like working. And this is the same crowd that says, oh, we got to stop slavery, while they go to the grocery store and use slaves to get their food on the table. I mean, it's just nothing but hypocrisy, and it's just going to continue.
Yeah, it's not the sort of thing we're going to overturn all it was, of course, either, that the system is what it is, and it wasn't built in a day and will be torn down in a day, but not by us at least. But we do believe that this is a problem bigger than ourselves, and people don't like to hear that either. They like to be their own gods, and they don't like to hear you say that you need help. They don't like to say that there's another being coming to save. They always mock us for waiting for Jesus to come and save us. It's like, this old man and this guy is going to come rescue you, boo-hoo, and mock us for that. But I'd like to see their solution to these problems. And all their solutions always seem to involve not, some will say violence, others will say, and I'm like, the old saying, you and whose army? They think naively like they're going to take on the world's armies and defeat the powers that be. You have to do it all at once, because it's a hydra. You can't just cut off one head and then cut off the next. The first one will grow back before you do. And so you have to take it all down at once. It would be a violent overthrow, and you don't have the ability. You just don't. That's just realistic. That's not defeatist. It's realistic. In the same way that what people will think that they're going to change anything that they don't have the power to change. I had something else in mind that just left me, but along those same lines of thinking, I think you've brought this up before, Pillbox, about people wanting to go to either the North Pole or the South Pole when they've never even lived in Alaska for a year, or hunted their own food, or cleaned and dressed it, and learned how to preserve or forage or identify plants or navigate by the stars. Because you can't count on anything if you go out into a wilderness that few with the right equipment even go to, and they certainly don't go alone. People are not being realistic when they make these plans, but you can't just say, okay, in 2 years I'm going to collect some warm coats and boots and go on. You don't just do that. You have to be someone who's spent like a decade living on your own in primitive conditions, very harsh conditions, and have friends that you can trust. There's that character and trust issue again. or you're not going to make it. And then you have to hope and pray and believe, not know, that nobody's going to mess with you. There aren't going to be any wild animals. There aren't going to be any high-tech ships hovering above you to zap you if you get too close. No mines in the ground, no nothing. It's just going to be rainbows and lollipops. I mean, it's just there's a line between being realistic and being defeatist. You have to know what you're up against, and you have to know what your capabilities are. And a lot of the people making these plans aren't all that young. So I don't know what people think they're going to do to topple the system. I really honestly don't think they can. Not that they shouldn't do whatever they can do. I'm certainly not saying we should sit on our hands and just wait. Jesus never said that. And I've said this to people every step of the way. I said, no, I'm not saying we just sit and wait for Jesus. We've got work to do. We're doing it right now, some of it. And there are things that Jesus said that I'm going to come when you don't expect me. I better find you doing what I left you here to do, which is not to overthrow the world, but to spread the gospel and to take care of each other as a church. And we haven't been doing those things. And instead, we're doing exactly what Jesus said not to do, which is beat your fellow servants. This happens on a daily basis. And that brings up the old expression that beatings will continue until morale improves. That's just not going to work. I don't know what is going through some Christians' head when they think if I don't like your belief on prophecy or something, I'm going to beat you over the head until you agree with me, and I'm going to throw links at you and make you read and not listen to your side until you agree with me, and then you'll be cool and everything will be okay, and we'll beat the next fool who comes into our room. That's the state of Christianity, and it's been sliding down that slope for a long time. And I just think that it's unrealistic to say we shouldn't expect Jesus to help us. He's the only one who can.
And that's when that troll shows up and says, well, why don't you pray to your God to do this and that so we can have something right now? I always get these questions from people that are just trolling. And that's the thing, is that if that was possible, if that was even probable, why would we be here? If it was even ever the idea that you could just pray and get something for it, this world would have just blown itself up about 6,000 years ago. I mean, nobody has even the righteous concept in their mind of what God should do. You don't know what God should do. I always ask these people, well, how should God have done it? What was God supposed to do? Was God supposed to make a creation to make us robots? That's what you want to be, a robot? Well, that's fine. I guess you want to be a Buddhist then, because then you'll come back as a cockroach, which is basically a self-replicating robot creature who crawls around, does its thing, and then dies, and then the process just keeps repeating itself. People seem to really like the idea of being a cockroach. That's what I've realized, that these scoffers want to be a robot. They think, oh no, God, why would God allow this to happen? Oh, so God was supposed to just program us to do everything like mice or not even like mice, like an ant colony. And you think that's good? You think that's beautiful? No. When God got done making this creation in that first week, and it was all set to go, and it was sailing right along, he said it was good, which means it was amazing beyond your comprehension. And these people pretend as if they can comprehend how God does anything. That's why God reminds them in Isaiah 40, there is no searching for his understanding. You're not going to be able to even think of something better than the way God has done anything. I don't care what it is. Oh, but what about God, doing all those things and he just sits there with his arms folded as these people suffer. Well, did God make them suffer? No, you did. You made them suffer with yourself, as you want to be worshipped. You care about yourself. That's the reality of it.
Yeah, exactly. They want God to do two conflicting things, two mutually exclusive things. They want him to micromanage everyone else so nothing bad happens, and then they want him to stay out of their lives and leave them alone so they're not robots. I mean, they have to make up their mind, and it's going to be, instead of the atheist going, why, God, didn't you step in, and why did you sit there with your arms folded? It's going to be God saying, okay, what did you do with the place while I was gone? Why didn't you step in? Why did you blame me for stuff that's everybody's fault but mine? All the people, and Satan is certainly, and the demons and all that. That's where all the problems come from, and yet I get the blame. And that's what he's going to say. And when people actually see him face to face, all of a sudden they're not going to be so big and high and mighty. And because there's too many people are going around thinking they're going to put God on the witness stand and hold him to account, their own creator. And it's like the Bible even says God laughs at that. And he says, does the thing made say to the one who made it, you have no hands? And, does the clay say to the potter, what have you done? That's exactly what these people are doing. They're extremely arrogant, thinking that their creator answers to them. And they don't realize that their sense of justice and fairness came from him, and that there's more going on here that he is not obligated to explain than they know about. They are not God. They're not all knowing. They don't know what's going on between God and Satan, such as we got a little glimpse of in the book of Job, where he says, where Satan presents himself before God and God says, what you've been doing? And Satan says, roaming all over the earth. And God said, hey, did you notice my servant Job? He's a really good guy. And Satan says, he'll curse you to your face if you let me do stuff to him. And God never told Job any of this until after the fact. But Job held on to his integrity. And even his own wife, that at one point, Job's own wife said, curse God and die. Why are you suffering like this? And his 3 friends, so-called, came to see him and said, you must have done something to deserve this, because this doesn't happen to people, all these disasters, unless they did something bad. They just assumed, because they didn't know what was going on. And I've heard that, and I know you've heard that. A lot of people have, where if you get attacked a lot, it must be your fault. You must be asking for it, blame the victim, and shoot your wounded. That's what people do. And the fact is that they're not God. They don't know what's happening, and they presume to know. And so they hold God to account and say, if I were God, I would not do this or that. Well, let's see you try to be God for a day. First thing I want to see you do is walk on water and then raise somebody from the dead and empty the children's hospitals. Then I'll listen to you and your judgments of God. As it is, they're just really arrogant. They're self-worshiping. They don't even realize how arrogant they are and how puny they are compared to God. And if they have a brain in their head at all, they're not going to defy him. That's just the stupidest thing anybody can do. And it's just rampant.
Wow. Talk about the irony. These people who say God didn't do a good job are the ones self-worshiping themselves. So you're telling me you love yourself this much that you're your own God, and I'm telling you God made you how you wanted to be made, and you're telling me no, but you love yourself. Wait a minute, which one is it? You love yourself this much, but you're telling me God didn't do a good job of making you, but you love yourself. I mean, do these people realize how stupid they are? They absolutely worship themselves. They are the end all. They're the ism. I want to be happy, but God screwed up. What do you mean God screwed? God apparently has made you so amazing. You worship yourself. Again, I mean, where is the logic here? All logic leads to truth. All truth leads to Jesus Christ. That is the only option. You can't give me a better option. That's the one thing I knew. That's the reason that I knew Jesus Christ was the way pretty early, even though I didn't want to admit it, because I thought, wait a minute, okay, let me see my other options here. Okay, we got Buddhism. Okay, I can come back as a cockroach. That might be kind of fun. Oh, no, they're going to feed me to the dragons. Okay, maybe that's not really a good idea. Okay, let's look at this other book called the Quran. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, all these sexual pleasures, 72 virgins. Wow, that's kind of weird. Muhammad did that. Ooh, weird. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, this is kind of bad. I don't know if that's such a good idea. Oh, you're going to kill people if they don't agree with you? Yeah, let's see. Let me see if I can find it. As John Giscala says, if you have 2 cents to rub between your ears, let me see. Here's my 2 cents. Oh, okay, I found my 2 cents. So the Quran's wrong. That goes right out the window. Okay, let me see about this other belief system. Okay, global elite, Satanism, self-worship. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, you're going, no, that can't be right. If I was made, how could I? Okay, if I was made, how could I be my own God? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, wait a minute. Here's the Bible. Here in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Okay, that sounds legitimate. Okay, and then he created the animals, and then he created Adam. Then he created his final masterpiece, a woman, to complement Adam. We always save the best for last for a reason, Paul. I'm not sure if a lot of men know that, but there is a reason you save the best for last when you're creating something. But oh yeah, then how come Jesus wasn't a woman? Well, they probably would have killed him by age 3. A talking little girl saying anything would probably have gotten killed. Yeah, at least Jesus made it to about 30 or 35, whatever he died, and I'll never know until we get out of here. Yeah, they would have probably killed the daughter of God within 45 months, if I had to bet. And that's how it had to work back then. There's a reason for everything. Duh. That's why it works only one way. You have to be saved. Well, these other religions tell me that I don't have to be saved. These other religions tell me that I get to be a god or a cockroach, which I guess to some of these people is the same thing. I mean, apparently, I'm not making this up. This is written down. Anybody can go find something. If you have a better idea out there, anyone, of how things should have been done, please let me know. I'm always going to pay attention to anybody that wants to tell me I'm wrong. I'd love to know how Jesus Christ can't be the only way, but you can't do it. That's why these people won't even let us back our own claims. They won't even give us a chance to defend ourselves. They attack us from afar. Like cowards. And how many times have I asked in the past 2 years, okay, when can I come on your hangout and discuss the Bible with you, discuss truth with you? And then you just hear crickets because they can't do it, because they're all cowards, because they love themselves. And it all ties together. There's no mystery. It's very simple. God is not the God of confusion. He makes it very simple. The difference is you love yourself, and that's why you're confused. That's only the only answer that I can come up with, is that you just love yourself too much. You're willing to do anything to ignore the truth, as you love that high, as you pretend to search for the truth, but you don't want the truth. In fact, what they've done now, Paula, is say that there is no truth, because it's all just virtual reality anyway. We'll talk about a death sentence. Wow, that's great. God made this creation, and then you tell God it wasn't real. Wow, yeah, I can imagine why God's not going to be happy with you. I'm sorry to say.
And that's the thing, is people just don't want accountability. They don't want someone else to answer to and think that, well, I want to make up my own truth. I want to make up my own way. I want to live how I want to live. And if God doesn't meet my standards personally, then I'm not going to believe in him. And so we'll just, assume that there is no God of the Bible, especially. It's always the God of the Bible. That's another red flag. And we have been joined by Rose Patton. Hello.
No kidding. Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, Rose Patton, the general herself, General Rose Patton, has entered the Red October. Rose Patton, this is our maiden voyage on Blood Always Finds Its Level. I am very glad you have been able to make it here. How are you doing?
Wow, that's nice. Thank you. Oh, doing great. Thank you. Hi, Knowledge. Hi, everybody.
How you doing?
Hey, I made it home.
Okay.
Chemtrails and all out there. Yeah. I'm good.
Awesome. Yeah, this is our first hangout.
We're just doing a general introduction. This is the first time Paul and I have ever done this. We thought it was necessary because I just wanted to tighten up the standards. Paula wanted to tighten up the standards. Not that of course there's millions of Christians out there, but I think that there's a message that we're trying to get across very clearly, that I don't think we've had the ability fully to do so yet. And there are going to be some things that we are going to do in silent running mode that we're not going to talk about on the live hangout, Rose, but I did talk to you a few days ago. I was telling Paula about some of the things you were telling me, and because I didn't even know some of those things. And again, for some reason, women continue to correct me because I need corrected. And that's why this has happened, because it wasn't just to make it so that we could have a proper standpoint, a proper channel that would just all the fat cut off, all the nonsense. I don't want to do anything but the truth. So help me God, Rose Patton. I think you're on the same plane that I am, if I can say myself.
Well, of course.
Right. And that's why we're here. And I'm glad you're going to be a part of it, Rose Patton. This is just our first introductory. How much more redundant can I be, Paul? The initiation video. And I'm really at a loss of words because we didn't have a chance to promote it. We didn't have a chance to tell anybody about it, really. We don't really have the chat up this time. Paula usually shows the chat, but this is more of we're going to use this later as an intro. Paula's going to send this video out either tomorrow when the next time she does one of her videos. As Paula, as my opinion, I think Paula has the most important videos on the internet. I hate to say it because I hate to know when somebody does what they're supposed to be doing, but there's not a lot of people out there, Rose, that are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And some people don't have the capability, and some people are extremely busy right now outside of the country that have to do things with boots on the ground, that don't have the ability to be in the hangout with us. And that's why we're kind of separated. Not that I asked for it, but I do accept it. The reason I accept it is because it is the truth. So we have a lot of work to do, and I'm just going to let the problems come to me, because that's how they have always been accomplished, is that I don't have to go to the problems. They're going to find me.
Absolutely. Well, the people who need to find us, they'll find us.
Yeah, we'll hopefully the people in the chat will help promote. And one thing I was told is that we can start, with the channel login, which I and Pillbox have, and hopefully that's been or will be passed on to you. And we can, with logged in with that, go out and like videos, and that will help establish it, and we'll get more controls, and maybe I'll be able to play some videos. I couldn't get the audio to work on it. I tried to screen share a video and that didn't happen. So we need to get that going. But I think if we can promote it, I think we have, let's see, we got 3 downvotes already. So there are other people watching that are not in the chat. And eventually we'll get, all the bells and whistles that we need. We're also, it's funny, we're like, the difference, if I may be so bad as to use a Star Wars analogy, it's like the difference in equipment and personnel between the Empire and the Rebels. The Empire has these sleek, big ships and crisp uniforms and all the best high tech, and the Rebels have things that they clutch together in their garage, junk parts and just ragtag whatever. And that's kind of what we are. I mean, I'm running on an older computer that we put together from pieces, parts around the house on one channel, to run the other login. So I'm not in my Google universe, which I'm on my other computer, and I can't find it. I'm running Linux, so on both of them. So it's like this browser works here, that one works there. Pillbox is in his car playing the stereo. It's just funny. We're trying to put this little submarine together.
We're the rebels. I'll take that analogy.
There we go.
Absolutely true. Yes. So Rose, I want you to think about what you've seen in the last few months. I'm going to do a quick station identification right quick and check out the sound system here. Let's see if this works. It is 650 west of the Rockies, south of the 33rd parallel. This is the end of the internet. Welcome to Blood Always Finds Its Level. It's just going to get easier, and I think we've seen so much in the past few months. Man, even the past 2 weeks, Rose Patton, you would have no idea. I don't think you had a chance to see our videos. Blood Always Finds Its Level on a Flat Earth. But as far as the revelations that have come just in the past 2 weeks, they have been shocking. We have found out that we are surrounded by frauds, and you were one of the first people that warned me. You warned me about a year ago about these frauds. What have you seen unravel in your own eyes?
What have I seen unravel on what? I missed that.
In your own eyes, in your own words, what have you seen going on from your point of view? Because you were already seeing these things before I did. So why don't you fill me in and get some people caught up on what you see going on in the flat earth? Because Satan loves to use the truth to destroy. And that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Well, I think if you don't have the first thing is to have Jesus Christ, to be a follower of Jesus Christ and have faith. And if you don't have that, and you're a flat earther, then I consider you a shill, because they go together. It's in the Bible. It tells you it's a flat earth. It's all verified through scripture. So that's how I called out these other people in the flat earth community as shills. And I was correct. And so truth come to light, So That was pretty simple, though.
Right. What we're talking about, and generalistically, it is simple. What we're talking about, we're not talking about the stragglers or the smaller channels. We're talking about the big channels that are promoting their ideas of, we got the solution, just send us some more money. Oh, next week, okay, we didn't do it. We got so close to proving it. Next week, why don't you send us some more money, and then we might almost prove it then as well. And I
But
think
those are the
like
ones that don't have Jesus Christ as those are the ones.
Right.
Those big stations, and they have these great sound, mics and stage systems and whole setup and get up and everything. They got donation set up. They got advertisements on their videos. Professional, but they don't follow Jesus Christ, and they're just pretty much making a buck off of the flat Earth. That's the way I see it. I've never been paid a penny, and I don't want to. And I'm not going to put down anybody who is. But if you're going to make some money on it, then at least be truthful and lead people in the right way.
Right. Yeah, a lot of the big channels, they started that way, and it's been that way for a couple of years, that they start off, whatever else they've been about since then, they start off bashing the Bible, bashing Christians, lumping us all together, saying the Jesuits wrote the Bible, even though they didn't exist till 1540. And the Bible's, we've got parts of the Bible for back, more than 1,000 years, almost 2,000 from now. And, no matter how often you say, no, the Jesuits could not have written the Bible. And then they'll say, well, we don't believe in history, but there's other older documents that prove the Bible wrong. So suddenly history is true. And that point, it's a mishmash of bad information, misinformation, and contradictory information that they're spreading from these big channels and continuing to isolate Christianity and the Bible alone from the free exchange of ideas. And they will even go so far as to say things with theology in it, like astrotheology is somehow not a religion, but it is. You got theology in the name, and somehow that's not a religion. Or the isms, me-ism.
Yeah.
It's a religion.
Well, the flat Earth indicates a creator. So if you're going to say it's a flat Earth, then go all the way and admit there is a creator.
Right.
Do you see? You're only given half truths, and half truths aren't going to make it right now.
Yeah, they'll say, okay, there's a creator, but it's some video game playing teenage alien elsewhere, or it's karma, or it's something. Anything but the Bible's God is the creator.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which ought to be a red
flag.
flag.
Like we're in a simulated reality. That stuff is quantum physics. They want to use that on their basis of a flat Earth or whatever. I don't know, but you're just leading people astray as far as I'm concerned. I'm not here for half truths. So if you're gonna do it, let's do it.
Right. Truth is Stranger Than Fiction had a good full-length video called Ethereal that pointed out that quantum physics is in fact ancient Hindu and Babylonian and mixture of quote unquote New Age theology. That's exactly what it is. It's just given a scientific Western veneer to make it more acceptable by the first world countries, just as people did back in the 60s with what they called transcendental meditation, which was really just Hinduism. So is yoga. If yoga is just stretching, why do you call it yoga? Why isn't it just stretching?
No, it's a religion.
Yeah,
it's a religion. And people claim to be Christian or Catholic or whatever, and they go, I'm going to go to my yoga class. And I'm like, wow, you really don't. It's all a setup. You really, if you're going to do anything, you need to know what it is you're doing. Don't take people's words as, oh, it's just a form of exercise and it's innocent. There's nothing wrong with it. No, it goes back thousands of years. It's a religion.
Right.
Period. And the Bible says you cannot serve two masters. So.
Right. And like India, where that stuff has been practiced for thousands of years, they don't seem to be a very nice place to live. They have their caste system, and their belief in karma basically says, well, I can't interfere and help you with your suffering because you're working off your karma, and it would actually be bad for you if I helped you. So they justify not being compassionate. And that beliefs have consequences. And that's, if you were looking for something that works, even though in spite of all the problems and all the corruption that happens, because let's face it, capitalism is not Christianity, but the concept of free enterprise, the concept of people running their own lives is a Christian concept, a concept of equality. That's, again, level, finding its level. This is what this faith above all others is about people being autonomous and free. And freedom can be scary to a lot of people. They want religion. Even among Christians, it's like we were talking about earlier. Go ahead. Did you want to say something?
People want. No, I was just going to agree with you that a lot of people want control. They want to be told what to do. Breakfast is in the morning, lunch is at noon, and in the evening you have dinner. You get up, right. You go to work, you come home, you pay your bills, you feed your kids, or you pay for your car, you have to get gas, you go on vacation, you be grateful for that now because you get vacation. We'll give you Social Security later when you get old, maybe. Like everything is controlled, and right. You eat sausage and eggs for breakfast. Like everything. Where did all this come from? Why does anybody need anyone to tell them what to do? And who are these people right. that are telling you what to do? And who are these people making up these laws? I mean, you got to question the whole system needs to be questioned. Why am I doing this?
Right. It reminds me, for whatever reason, of the Lego movie. I don't know if you've seen that. It's like, everything is awesome. You have your routine. You do X, Y, Z every day, all day, no exceptions. And then they didn't know what to do when something changed.
He couldn't even find his pants. He needed help with that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, go ahead. That's the thing is people, it is frightening to have the freedom and the responsibility that goes with it to decide whether you want to spend eternity with God or not. And that's all the gospel is, that Jesus rose from the dead and made it possible to make that decision, not by your own effort because you couldn't do it anyway. It's like a kid that breaks a window and doesn't have the means to repay it, but the person whose window it was deserves compensation. And so Jesus paid it for you, like a parent pays for the kid's destruction. And, because we just don't have the ability. And people don't like that dependency. They don't like that accountability. They don't like thinking that there's, they say, you're not the boss of me to God. And it's frightening because even in Christianity, you have people, whether it's Lordship salvation or the Hebrew roots or whatever it is, saying, no, we need this routine. We need a sacred calendar. We need people over us in a chain of command. We need to have everything mapped out for us and do thus and so, or we're not pleasing God. And where God is up there with his head in his hands, most likely going, look, I set you free. I opened the prison doors, Jesus said. I came to open the prison doors, lift the burden. And here you are picking it back up again. It's unreal.
But then you listen to man's law. Are you not serving man?
Exactly. And self.
Yeah, self. That's where you get the selfies from. All that selfness. Serving yourself instead of serving others, helping others. I do for someone else before I do for myself. I don't care. If somebody asked me for money, I'd give them everything in my pocket if I could. If I can afford it, I would. Right. If I have to get groceries and I have an extra $5, take it. I don't care. I don't even think twice about it. But a lot of people are like that. They just figure, oh, he's okay. They're trying to sell some artwork to get a couple change. This dog, he's all right. Just keep on walking. This guy might need some help. Do some pictures. So it's not like he's just begging. He's willing to, change something. People don't even consider these things, You have to think, how about if that was you and everyone walked past you and said, well, okay, they're fine.
Yeah. Just like the Good Samaritan parable. Yeah.
Yeah. Hold a mirror up to yourself. And also, it also says in the Bible, you have entertained angels.
Right. Unawares.
So, yeah, be aware of who you shun away and who you speak to the way you do. You never know who you might be really talking to. Treating somebody, treat others the way you want to be treated, period.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about earlier before you came on about how bad Christians treat each other, even just over a minor disagreement in doctrine or, prophecy or whatever it is. It's like, if you think so highly of yourself as to be infallible in your interpretations, and you beat your fellow servants, are you not going to be reprimanded? Are you not fearing God when he comes back? And that's another thing. People don't understand the fear of God. It's the same way a child.
Ego.
Yeah, exactly. Because a child has a healthy fear of their parents if they do something wrong. You don't have that fear if you're not doing something wrong. You don't need that. It's all good. But if you do something wrong, then you fear, and it's a good thing because it'll make you think twice and not want to do the wrong thing.
And you don't have to beat a child to make them have fear in you. You can just raise them in a way where they don't want to disappoint you. And that's a fear of disappointment. Well, it's not necessarily fear as severe punishment or anything like that. It's just, when they look up to you and respect you, they don't want to disappoint you. So there's different types of fear.
Right. Exactly. It's like an employee with a boss or something. If you screw up, you can fear losing your job, not because your boss is an awful person that you should be afraid of all the time. That's not what the fear of God is. It's just if you mess up, yes, be afraid because this person has, or God has, authority over you and power over you. And that's all we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can go hang out with your boss and have drinks after work and everything, but that doesn't mean if you screw up, you can't lose your job.
Right. That's just being smart if you do what you're hired to do and, don't do stupid things.
Sense. It's all on you, actually. It comes down to yourself,
Right.
What choice are you going to make?
Yeah, that's again why people prefer an external check off the boxes kind of religion while they say they hate religion, because if you make it internal, it's in your conscience, it's in your heart and your mind, and you can't escape that. You can't fool anybody with that. And if God is in there inside of you, where the way the Holy Spirit is, when you're a Christian, people don't want that. And they think it is also as a way of not having fun anymore because, who wants a Christian around when they want to go out and party or whatever it is, and they don't want him ruining their good time. They think of all the things they'll have to give up. But I'm like, well, what about the things
I'm having a good time. I'm okay. Yeah. I'm happy. I'm happier than I ever have been in my whole entire life. I don't think following Jesus is a downer or stops you from being happy in life. I mean, what makes you happy? Sin? If sin and lust and all that kind of stuff makes you happy, then you need to go towards the other dude. Lucifer will welcome you with open hands. But I mean, it doesn't mean that you're boring or dull or anything as well, just because you follow Jesus Christ. I mean.
Yeah, just because I'm boring doesn't mean Christians are boring, So.
Well, that think you have to go to. There is some Christians, like the in the Bible Belt of the United States. Those type of Christians, I mean, this not every single individual. No, everyone's an individual, but there's a certain group of people that act the same. They're very judgmental. Like Stepford wives or soccer moms, and they feel if you don't go to their church and are part of their church, then you're not one of them. It's kind of cult-like.
Right. It's controlling.
Yeah.
That
it's like versus it's really culty.
Go ahead.
If I thought Christianity was like that,
right.
Part of that. I'm not into religion. I'm not religious, and Jesus is not a religion. So
exactly. And yet, like the Hebrew roots and the Lordship salvationists will turn it right into a religion by saying, do thus and so. And really all it is a matter of living like you're grateful for being saved and that you love the family you've been adopted into by accepting salvation, and you're going to live accordingly. And that's just out of a desire to please. That's how relationships work. And you don't need the laws etched in stone. You don't need the check boxes and pleasing other people. You're not here to please other people. You're here to please God. You're here to be compassionate to people, but not to make sure that they're happy with what you're doing. No, it's just make sure God's happy with what you're doing.
Right, because there's a lot of people I know that go, oh, well, what church do you go to? And as soon as you say, well, I don't go to church, and they go, oh.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? And then I still believe in Jesus Christ. And they go, well, you think you do.
Mm-hmm.
What? Like, because I don't go to church, or I don't go to your church. I don't have faith. Like, that's crazy. That is a whole nother system that's been put in there.
It is.
To the place that we're at, you have to skip all that other stuff. That's why people are scared. They don't want to deal with that, and I don't either. But that's set up to make you not want to go in that path.
Right. I'd done a bunch of videos on that issue of how things went bad. I mean, even in the New Testament, they said, as soon as we're gone, ravenous wolves will arise from among you and scatter the flock. And that's exactly what happened. If you look at Philip Schaff's history, he says, it wasn't long that people could sustain that kind of freedom. And they went back, whether Jews or Greeks, the Gentiles went back to their old religious practices because they couldn't imagine pleasing God without it, even though Jesus had showed them. And the first century Christians lived it out, where there wasn't a building, there wasn't a clergy class, there wasn't a ritual or a calendar. They just met together and took care of each other and spread the gospel, and they were happy, and there were no needy among them, but they couldn't hang on to that. As soon as the apostles were gone and they struggled with it, that's what half the New Testament is about, struggling with congregations who are trying to lapse back into factions and rituals and things. And then, as soon as the apostles were gone, boom, back at it. And that's where the traditions were born and the churchianity. And there's a book on my website I actually did a video series on about little known facts of church history where
interesting.
Yeah, it's a book called The Reformers and Their Stepchildren that I kind of did an analysis of. Yeah, it's about the remnant Christians, whether, from the Donatists all the way up through the Reformation, all the Anabaptists and all those people that were always the attacked group, and the group that were not going along with the religification of Christianity. And the twists and turns and the subtle arguments, and because I'm not, I'll say a lot of things against the Catholic Church as an organization, but the Protestant Church wasn't much better. They reformed instead of revolting, which they should have revolted, but they all have the same hierarchy problem, the same clergy problem, the same division problem, and the same religion problem. And that's what people look at and say, that's Christianity, and that's what they're against, especially in flat earth. It's like, this is always burning a straw man. And I can't blame them, because that's what the church has presented, that the church itself is burning a straw man. And I'm hoping with channels like this one that we can at least have a place where that message can go out like a beacon and say, look, this is Christianity. It's a relationship. It's not doing this, doing that. It's behaving in a way that's consistent with a life of gratitude and honoring your Creator and honoring the Bible that He gave us to live by.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's so simple. It's really simple. But everyone wants to make it so complicated, but it's not complicated at all. It's the most simplest thing you can do. It just seems like it's hard because of all the different things that are out there to deter you. Like you were just talking about.
Right.
All this stuff is it's scary for people. They're like, well, I don't want to be a part of that system. Or look at the Christians, like so-called Christians, that were killing people.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't have a good name because of these people who did this stuff. But those aren't real Christians. No.
Right.
Just like there's Zionists and there's Jews.
Yeah, they'll say that's the no true Scotsman fallacy. And I'll go, no, look, the Bible is where we find out what a true Christian is. We're not making this up, And that says, be kind, be gentle to your own people, take care of each other. You don't form armies. You don't form governments. Jesus didn't even say overthrow the Romans. And they were at least as bad as we are today. And so that's not what we're about. But yet, even today, without the churchianity, you still find these channels run by quote unquote pastors with followings, and the followers are the most satanic acting people. It's like Jesus spoke more about fruit and actions than He did about doctrine. And the fruit of the Spirit, you know, is absent from a lot of these people. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Some people would think those are only feminine qualities. Those are Christian qualities. And those are not wimpy
real Christian qualities.
Yeah.
No, that actually makes you
yeah.
a stronger person, individually, mentally, physically, everything.
Right.
But the church has been infiltrated. We already know that. And it also says that in the Bible that's happened, and it's still happening.
Right. It is.
That's why, you know, you're gonna be. If you want to go to church and you like going to church, I'm not knocking people to go to church. Just make sure you know who's preaching to you. Who is this person?
Right.
Yeah.
I go to one. I went for the first 47 years of my life, probably longer, because my mom went. We got church dripping in our blood, you know, from generations back, and I stopped cold turkey for 10 years. Because, you know, I came under conviction. You know, it's like, if you study the Bible, this is what happens. And
right.
I finally went back, you know, partly because although I was being fed and feeding and participating as a Christian online, my family was missing that. And I felt bad for them. And we found a church that is more doing. They're not as heavy theology. In some places, I think there's a little too little of that, but they're a doing people. They say, we're going this, you know, once a month, we're going to work with these people to feed the hungry and buy them clothes and give out, you know, here's stuff you can put in your car to give to the homeless when you see them when you're driving. That kind of a church I can settle into.
Oh, absolutely. Build a community garden. You know, there's things that, you know, get the community involved as well. You know, it's
right.
Beautiful. That's different. That's a good church. Now,
right.
You know, not the ones that say, oh, we're going to light incense and we, you know, the whole, like you were saying, the ritual stuff. No, that's pagan.
Right.
And pagan rituals not belong in a real Christian church, period. And there shouldn't even be a cross on that church. You know,
or an altar.
Right? Churches are, or an altar. Yeah.
I don't mind a symbol of an empty cross, just for the reason that it shows that Jesus died for our sins, but he's not there anymore. That's as far as I would take it.
Yeah, because, and also when the churches have a whole bunch of crosses on it, what that symbolizes is keeping Jesus on the cross. That means he was never raised and came back from the dead. That's keeping him on the cross. And that's what they want to do, because if he stays on the cross, he can't die and come back. Do you see?
Right.
So that's a whole nother level. But anyways, maybe we can get into that another day. But yeah. So when you see a lot of,
that was when they had the body on the cross. I thought that was like when they literally have the body, like when you see a crucifix.
Yeah.
That's what a crucifix is.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
because people will complain about I don't carry around a symbol of the instrument that was used to kill my child. You know, it's like, no, that's not what we're saying. It's an empty. What do you want us to do? Show an empty tomb? What people would go, what is that? A rock with a hole in it? You know, the cross is very simple. It was used to communicate, you know, from one Christian to another sometimes, or the fish in the ground, easy to draw in the sand. And the fact is that at least in Protestant churches, it's empty because Jesus isn't there anymore. Yeah.
I'm talking about like in the Catholic churches.
Right.
What they're using it for is to keep him on the cross.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. They have a crucifix. They have the body of Christ hanging there.
Yes.
Dying still. Yes.
And he's walking around in the crowd with that. So that's that symbolism. People really need to look into that. That's not cool at all. No. Right.
I did a couple of videos on Babylon that went into that, you know, where that is Babylonian religion is what the Catholic Church is all about. I mean, they went from Babylon to Pergamos, where Satan has his throne, as it said early in the chapters of Revelation. And from there, they went to Italy. And the fish hats are the hats of Dagon, the fish god, that they were worshiping back in Nineveh, too. That's Babylonian religion. And that's why I believe one of the reasons I'm a futurist, that they will play a part in the end times prophecy, because that's the revived ancient religion that it has to be.
Yeah. I had to study all that to even get to the point I'm at. I had to study a lot of religions and understand, where did those religions come from? You know?
Right.
Before you follow something, know what the origin is. Don't be a blind follower to anything. Nothing.
Right.
Know what that origin comes from. Where does this come from? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Be right
Thanks.
back. Okay.
And you're back, Pillbox?
I think I'm back virtually. Is there a difference? I'm not
Well,
sure.
in a
Am I
virtual
really back?
world, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I might not really be back. I might not even be talking right now, and you might not even be real. And anybody who ever hears this, I guess, just might be just the video game character being controlled by somebody else, I guess. And with that, let's see. I saw the Mr. Bob was in the chat. Shout out to Mr. Rich Bob for showing up again. Sergeant Victoria Shanna was in the building. I have the memory of a field mouse, I guess. Who else was there? John Gishgala. Let's see. Who else was there?
We had Max Addicts. I don't know that name.
Max. Don't know him. Never heard of him yet. Franco. Not sure who that guy is either. I gotta have Sergeant give him a credit application. Make sure that he's
cool as far
qualified
as I
to be
know.
there. Is he cool? Okay, good. Yeah, pretty much everybody that I saw should have had a wrench if they need one. We don't really need wrenches tonight, though. I don't expect too much negative
Not
traffic.
yet, really. I gave out a few when we first started, whoever was here when we first started, but that I knew really well. So I think we're good for now. If we get a problem, then we can vet some more people. And if there's anybody else that was in chat, I should try to roll back and have to go in the other account and give them wrenches. But I think we're good. We got plenty of blue out there, it looks like.
Yep, should be interesting. When is your next hangout? You always, every time you do one, it's kind of like they're all different. It doesn't even seem like you ever tell anybody you're gonna do them. You just pop up and do them. When's the next solo Bible study you're gonna do?
Well, I don't know. I get up in the morning and think, gee, do I have anything to say? Does something given to me that I have a fire lit under me? I need to say something. I think a lot of times, though, anymore, it seems like I get up in the morning and eat my breakfast and I do some kind of hangout because there's just no place else for people to go. There's not a lot of people finding that need, but however few or many there might be, it seems like there's just no place people feel I've had more people saying privately, it's like I'm just about to leave the internet. I'm about to leave YouTube because even the Christians are nasty. They're horrible. And I agree. And I just kind of have to do it because of that. Now, I don't have anything planned at the moment. If something comes up, I can do that. I don't want to take too much from our hangouts too now. It's like, well, what are we? I think it's a different thing, though. Mine is more of a teaching channel, I guess it's become. As far as notifications go, somebody brought that up in the chat. I don't know what to do about notifications. I gave up even trying to announce a hangout ahead of time, even when I have one planned ahead of time, which is usually not. It just notifies. It's supposed to notify when it goes live. But a lot of times people don't even get that. So I don't know what to do about it. It's YouTube's issue. And so, yeah, as far as back to the Christian behavior, I don't know. I mean, I've got witnesses of things that happened to me in several different hangouts recently. Just absolutely reprehensible behavior just for saying, hey, good job. You did a great job. I just have this little disagreement on a minor point. Oh, now suddenly all his followers are like, oh, you're the devil. You have a horrible avatar, and all these things. And the channel owner, I politely private message and said, are you okay with this stuff going on? Are you aware of what's going on in your channel? And he jumps right in publicly. So that's the state of Christianity. And it's been like this in the message boards for years. I can say the sky is blue and the other Christians are like, no, you're reading the wrong Bible, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I don't get it either. It's the end times is all I can say, but not that the church has ever been, as a community, has ever been perfect or very unified, but still you would expect better behavior from Christians than you get from non-Christians. And I'm not seeing it a lot of times. I know you're not either, Pillbox.
Yeah, the numbers are pretty frightening. Frighteningly truthful, though. And I often wonder, I mean, how many people really know what's going on? I mean, there's a difference between being saved and being able to be used in the body of Christ. And I really feel that I think there's millions of people saved, But man, if you try to talk to people that are saved to ask them about the Bible, I think 1,000 times out of 1,001, you're not going to get the truth. I think more often than, I think that's just the sad reality right now. The human mind has been so destroyed by this world, by this satanic human realm, that most Christians are never going to know what's going on. They're just not going to have the slightest clue. Rand Campbell and myself used to go around in the big naturalism versus creationism fight. And there's quite a few Christians that know evolution is a fraud, is a hoax. That is for sure. I would say there are many millions that understand that. But man, when it does come to the shape of the earth, they don't know. They honestly will laugh at you. If you could go out in the street right now, find somebody, hey, are you a Christian? They're going to say, yeah, oh yeah, I profess myself to love God and Jesus Christ. And then you'll say, well, the earth's flat, right? And they'll go, oh, come on, get out of here.
Yeah.
That's the realities that people don't know. That's okay. They're still saved. You don't have to have all the answers. I mean, absolutely. I don't have all the answers either, but I'm trying to figure these big issues out. And right now there is a battlefield that has formed. This great deception has reared its head. And Satan is out in full force with this flat earth revelation. And that's what Satan does. Satan doesn't use a trash can and I want to say some really disgusting things right now, but I got to keep it clean. The reality is that Satan doesn't use disgusting things to deceive people. He uses truth. He shows you very good things, things that are pleasing to the eyes, that sound good to the ears, that are pleasant, that are shiny, nice and bright and sparkly, and ooh, look how cool that is. That's how he deceives people. And like I said earlier, most Satanists have no idea that they're Satanists, and I guarantee most of them don't even believe Satan exists. And that's how Satan works and operates, and that's exactly what his plan was from day one. And he comes, and he is a roaring lion, but when he approaches you, he's going to be smiling with a handful of candy. That's the reality. And the fact of the matter is that he has misused the truth of the Bible.
Right.
Earth. And the only thing that he's not going to do is say that Jesus Christ died from you, because when it comes to that is the ultimate truth. So he's going to use every other truth to the very end, because he knows his time is limited, and his job is to destroy as many other people that he possibly can in that amount of time that he's been allotted. But
Right.
that time is how long? I don't know how long it's going to be. A lot of people now are saying that we not only do they think we're in end times, they think that there's not more than a few years left, and I don't know if that's true. I often think that no, I think I have a lot more work to do, so that I would hope it would be a good amount of time. But the reality is, I think, yes, when Jesus Christ comes back, I think he's going to come back to a world that just absolutely has no idea where they're living, and has no idea how greatly they've been deceived.
Right. And one thing we forget as Christians, especially, is it says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. He is a coward when confronted, but nobody's confronting him. Very few people are. And that has to do with not only outside the church, but inside it too, because what we have here, what's common between what you were saying about the creation evolution issue, which there are a lot of Christians who believe in evolution and think creationists are stupid or deluded or backward. And the same thing with flat earth. It's like both of them stem from the same trunk of disrespect for the Bible and not being consistent in our interpretations. And the King James onlyists will do the same thing. They don't respect the word as it is in its original languages. And so they get these teachings of division, or they get allegorized. One person I've always quoted is on a lot of things to do with the Nephilim or ancient Hebrew culture and language is Michael Heiser, Dr. Michael Heiser. And he's, I think knows his stuff on his topic of expertise. But when he gets outside of that is where the problem arises, is nobody's perfect, and even the well-educated can really miss the mark. And what he does is allegorize, because he believes in evolution, he believes the earth is a ball, and yet he can't miss the fact of what the Hebrew says and the Greek says in the New Testament. And so he allegorizes because he can't deal with the mismatch between what he believes to be science and what the Bible clearly states and what all the ancients believed. He is at least honest enough to know what it actually says. And he says, for consistency, you're either both a young earth creationist and a flat earther, or you're neither. And he chose to be neither, but he realized this has painted him into a corner, because if the Bible is allegory, then you can't even say Jesus rose from the dead, and you might as well be a virtual reality believer at that point, because nothing is knowable. Yeah.
Right. And science isn't absolute either. We know that.
Right.
Well, basic science is. Okay, those are like, hydrogen and oxygen.
Yeah.
Those types. Yeah, that's different. But the other stuff, it's all guessing. Right. And it's changing all the time. And it also can be based on what you believe. So
exactly,
if you believe in something, that's what you heard of the two slit theory?
Oh, the double slit? Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's when that comes into effect. It could be what you observe. Yeah, but then that's quantum physics, and then that can go into the simulated reality. So you have to be really careful with that kind of stuff.
Right.
And it's all. Yeah,
this morning I did a video on knowing where fact leaves off and opinion and interpretation and things like that begin, because people don't know. They equate something they think is rational with a fact, when the reality is that they're interpreting a fact, and they can be wrong. Their logic could be wrong. Their collection of facts could be incomplete, but they think, no, I have a personal conviction, therefore it's a fact.
Yeah. See,
and with that double slit,
you got to be careful with that. Yeah, you have to be careful, because as soon as you observe the particle, it becomes solid. But when it's not observed, it's everywhere.
Yeah, that gets into the statement where they say the moon is not there if nobody looks at it. That's how they extrapolate from that experiment. I mean, it's laughable, yeah. But the thing with the double slit is that they are going by particle quantum physics, which is probably not true. I would be more of the Tesla electric universe end, where light is a wave, and where the waves are at opposite, if you have two different waves and they cancel each other out at a point as one goes up and one goes down, and then they're both at opposite extremes where they're at their maximum distance apart, those are perceived as quanta or objects or particles. And that's what they mistake for it. And so if you split a wave, it's still going to do its dual wave thing, no matter how many times you split it. And so they think they've got particles instead that are multiplying or something. And it's just, one error leads to another. And that's the whole quantum physics, like we were saying about Truth is Stranger Than Fiction's excellent documentary called Ethereal, where he says quantum physics is just repackaged Hinduism, pretty much.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
Yep.
And these are scientists that are saying that. So, because these are scientists and quote unquote, well-educated people, that we should believe them because they all say this and, blah, blah, blah. Well, you have to be careful, because it can lead you down a road that will lead you away from Jesus Christ and the Creator, and get you into the mindset of a movie, and you're just an actor, and you really are not in control of what you do. You have control of how you react, but everything else is already set out for you. I mean, that's really dangerous stuff, that quantum physics. I was just studying that. What they do is very dangerous.
Right. Yeah,
a weak mind can easily be
swayed,
subjected to. It's really scary.
Yeah,
these guys, I don't know. They get paid good money.
Right. Yeah, it's hard. There's so much complexity in this religion called quantum physics that, and they have their priests in white lab coats who alone can have the esoteric knowledge to understand this stuff. It is absolutely a religion. And people think they're being so factual, and they say, I don't believe I know. I said, you don't know squat. You don't know anything. It's
I
all
think
belief.
Pillbox has a book, evolution book, and in the book it even says that everything that they're saying is just a theory. It's not a fact. It's just a theory. Evolution is a theory. But you know, I think people who follow it are like religious people.
They
And
are.
they try to go against, they try to act like, oh, you're a religious freak and stuff like that. Well, what are you?
Exactly. It's a belief in magic, for crying out loud. A speck that existed by itself for who knows how long decided to explode into order instead of chaos, as you normally get after an explosion, and ordered itself according to rules that had no purpose because they're just random and natural and unplanned and unintelligent. It's like
that seems more far out there than what I believe. That's more far out there.
Exactly. It's ridiculous.
I mean, come on. And then the scientists also have to admit from that what they're saying has to have a beginning. Where did that start? There had to have been a consciousness to start the evolution back to the creator, no matter what you do.
Right. And all of life at every point has communication and language going on in it and codes to decipher. And you have to have a sender and receiver to encode and decode. And this doesn't arise by chance. There has to be, it's an irreducible complexity. Again, here with information, it's like there's a book called In the Beginning Was Information. Evolution cannot account for information, for coding. And because, you know, they get into this in genetics that, okay, DNA is a code. Well, who wrote the code? Somebody writes codes. You don't accidentally have one, you know?
Computer that is programmed without a code. You know, you think you just open your computer and it just automatically does everything you did. Somebody had to do that.
Right. It's like somebody put a John
Flowers coding.
Yeah, like we have a box of electronic parts. If I dump that on the floor and strike it with lightning, will it make a computer? I don't think so.
No, but somebody had to make those parts.
Right.
So even if you had a single cell that started like with evolution, whatever, that cell,
right,
matter. Either way you go, you're going back to the beginning. The beginning is the creator. Somebody created us, and that's it.
Right. And there's
I'm gonna say somebody for the evolutionists. I'm saying to the evolutionist, somebody.
Right.
Buddy. Yeah. I already know who that somebody is, but yeah.
Exactly. Well, I mean, they do the eternal regression belief, you know, where you just keep going back and back forever from cause to effect and cause to effect. That's not an answer. That's an evasion because it doesn't answer any question. It's just, if we push it far enough, whether it's panspermia or eternal regression, it's to a place where science can't go. Nobody can examine. Nobody was there. And if aliens did it, they have a different evolution. That's an assumption. That's a faith. That's
absolutely.
And
I like how you put that. It's an evasion. I like that.
Yeah, it's burying their heads in the sand deliberately because anything but God, no matter how absurd it is, no matter how illogical, how far away from observation it gets, they're just avoiding the question. That's all they're doing. And they're claiming that we have to answer where God came from, though.
Right. I've heard these stories from atheists and evolutionists, and I'm more boggled by what they're talking about. I'm like, how does that even make sense? It doesn't even make sense. No. Okay, the water, like even the ocean. How much of the ocean have we even explored? What? Not even 10%.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or 10%. How much of the ocean? There's places you just can't go.
Right.
No matter what kind of machine you build, at one point it starts busting apart.
Right.
You know, you've seen those machines they built to go down into the depths of the oceans.
Oh yeah.
And the glass starts cracking and the oxygen starts getting sucked up. There's a certain point you can't go. So like stop trying to pretend like everybody knows the answers, because you don't. We don't even know all the answers.
Right. And they're always finding something that just defies all logic when they go down. Like, for example, they found a sea within the sea at the bottom of the ocean. There's this looks for all appearances like a lake with a shore with waves and things along the shore. And the water was so dense that their sub couldn't go down into it. It was so dense,
Right.
more than the water. And at that
Right.
pressure, it had to be extremely dense and yet still liquid. Or they find bacteria living in boiling temperatures, vents coming up from the ocean floor. They don't know anything.
There's things we're just not meant to know. There's worlds within this world. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's worlds within the world.
And then they say they've gone to the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
And
but
they
that
know
was
it.
back
Whole
when
nother story.
yeah, that was back when cars had carburetors and we had AM radios and black and white televisions. Yeah, I believe it.
Oh, guess what? Just real quick, this might be off topic, but I found this out, and maybe in the next hangout we can actually show it. But I don't know if you guys seen the movie Get Out, where the lady. Okay, it's a do spoil or any. I think everybody for homework who's listening, go watch the movie Get Out. Okay, so in the movie, she has a teacup and she spins the teacup with a spoon and then taps the side of the teacup, and she puts him in a hypnosis. I don't want to say why because I don't want to do the spoiler, but so anyway, she puts him in a sunken place and stuff like that. Now, John F. Kennedy, when he died, there was breaking news on TV. It made me just think of that because he said black and white TV. Okay, so the first murder the presidential murder was broadcasted on TV, and it was breaking news. And they went into, he just got shot, president just got shot. And then after the breaking news, it cut to a commercial, and it's from Netcaf. I think it's a Nestle partner, and it's coffee. And so as soon as it's breaking news, goes to the commercial is a cup full of coffee and the spoon spinning in the coffee, and it taps the side of the coffee with the hypnosis thing in the background with the ball going back and forth, left to right behind the coffee cup. And the coffee cup they're spinning it, and it was a hypnosis that was used. Yeah, it's crazy. Wow. I was like, wow. And I didn't know that Lee Harvey Oswald was the first televised murder as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to show the commercial, and if you go see the movie Get Out, then you'll see that they used hypnosis public right after. Yeah, it's pretty deep. I'll show you.
Yeah, it was a swinging pendulum. After the break, it was Walter Cronkite who was making the announcement. He was saying President Kennedy has been shot and is injured, and I don't know if he announces that he died for sure. I think he's keeping people on the hook, right? He's keeping everybody on the hook, and then it goes to this coffee commercial, and it has a pendulum swinging back and forth, and he goes, "Oh, instant coffee, da 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 da. This is why you want this," and then the spoon comes into the view, and it's going back and forth, and it's like, wow. There was 85 million Americans were just staring at this screen, drooling, just after they got done being told that, by the way, the nicest president you guys ever had has been shot in Dallas in the motorcade, and blah blah blah. It's pretty frightening when you think about what type of assemblage was required to put all that together. I mean, I'm sorry if you don't believe in conspiracies, but maybe we can find another word to make it easier for you. I mean, talk about a massive assemblage that is required to do that. And that's the wonderful thing about television, is that the elite found a way that not only would every family in the so-called free world have a hypnosis device in their home, they would pay for it.
Well, like you said, like when they're announcing the president got shot, everybody's running to their TV. I mean, I'd be like, what the, I'm going to run. I want to hear, especially back then, right? And so, and hearing that, it breaks to a commercial just like Get Out. The pendulum, the spoon starts swinging like a pendulum, starts clinging in the cup. It was mass hypnosis right after being told that the president just got shot. Now, why? And you got to think of, did they know in advance this was going to happen? Nestle, were they involved? Like, just for that? Like, what the hell is going on with that? Like, there's a lot of questions with that. Interesting.
Well, we know there was people like Edward Bernays Yeah, Edward Bernays was all, using this mass hypnosis kind of thing and controlling public perception, not only for marketing, but who knows what else, would certainly have the means and the planning to do things like that, because he was the nephew, I think it was, of Sigmund Freud, and we know they have satanic help with these things. So yeah, it is entirely plausible even then. I mean, look at how they fooled people into thinking we went to the moon then. It certainly has been done. And that's why, they even tell us, turn off your TV with the movies like Network, and people still don't do it even today. It's just amazing.
Yeah. But I hope people go out there and actually look at this commercial that was done directly after the announcement, and then watch the movie Get Out and see how that was put together on the American public. It's so scary. And what else did they do with the Apollo landing? Like, were they using hypnosis commercials in between as well? I don't even know. I should look into that.
Yeah, I don't
That'd
remember.
be a good idea.
I was 11 when that happened, but I watched stuff on TV, and I don't remember the commercials at all.
That'd be interesting to know.
Yeah.
Like, were they doing that? Because why wouldn't they? Yeah,
I'm sure they did something. I mean, just having Walter Cronkite.
Yeah, he's a clone. He was cloned.
And
I don't want to get into that though. But.
Yeah, I mean, they were hypnotizing even with just that, just keeping you, this is our authority, our father figure, telling us the truth, and the news wouldn't lie to us, and taking advantage of everybody's gullibility. And they've just had everything locked down, I think.
Well, absolutely. Like when Trump was telling people, fake news and stuff like that, and then they had a reporter, news channel it was, but she was caught on air. She goes, how dare him tell the American people what to think? She goes, that's our job. And she took her paper, slammed it on the desk, and it was recorded. She goes, how dare he tell the public people what to think? That's our job.
Yeah.
You guys can go YouTube that, because she says that. Because that's the truth. They're telling you what to think.
Exactly. Yep, that's what people like in the churches too, don't they? They like somebody to tell them what to think.
Yep. Let's get back to church. I like it there. Well, our church, like a gathering like this, is a church as well, 2 or more.
Right, and we don't have an authority figure other than the Bible and Jesus. We don't have an authority figure saying this is how to interpret it. This is just us going, well, this is what I think and what I see from these various parts and contexts and all that, and what do you guys think? And yeah, that could be true. I kind of lean this way. That's an honest discussion.
Absolutely. You don't want to say, well, no, it's this way. I've been in rooms where they're talking about the Bible, and they're like, no, it doesn't mean that. It means this. And it's like, how can you tell me what it means?
Exactly.
That's your interpretation. I mean, maybe I'm wrong and maybe you're wrong. We both could be wrong.
Right. That's exactly what it's.
That's okay. And that's okay. We'll figure it out together, but we can't figure it out together if one person is so hell bent on being right.
Exactly. That's just what we were talking about a while back, was that, in one case, I go into a place that they were saying things about people with my view of prophecy that weren't true, and about us as people and our belief. And they said, come on in and tell us what you believe. Because I said, you're getting this wrong. This is not what we're about at all. And then when I got there, they wouldn't listen. They just wanted to tell me how wrong I was and how awful it was and dangerous and, whatever things that are, people like me or what I believe that is so bad that they have to correct me. And another place where they're like, well, I said, the Greek says that the word Holy Spirit takes the neuter pronoun, so you would properly use it. Oh, you think that I just, blaspheme God, because they said, that's how they took it. They're like, no, you don't agree with us that God is masculine. The Holy Spirit is masculine. I was like, no, that's not what the language says. It's neuter in Greek. It's feminine in Hebrew. Comforter is a masculine noun, so you would use he with that. And they're like, no, you're a heretic, and you're reading heretical books. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. You should see.
Dude,
I'll give you the link
that-
later.
Yeah, like when people have the absolute, that's where I'm standoffish with people like that. I'll never say I'm absolute. Tell
Yeah, our own-
people is don't take my word for anything. Go look it up for yourself.
Right.
I took the time, did my research. This is what I came up with. Now you go out there if you're interested and look it up and do your own research. And if you come to the same conclusion as me, great. If you don't, great.
Right.
You know,
And that's the thing.
I'm open for discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, we have
It's
the
always
Bible.
about learning. I'm sorry. We're always about learning. You can never say I know. For a
Right. Now, there's
fact.
certain things we do know for a fact. That is, Jesus rose from the dead, and
Those
the
are
Bible is
other
the Word
things.
of God. Yeah.
That's different. No, I mean
Yeah.
like my research. I'm open to other people's interpretations. Okay.
Right.
Because that's different. But yeah, the Bible, no. I take that as word and bond. No, definitely.
Right. And I figure, even if I'm wrong about that somehow, it's still my conviction, and I haven't seen anybody come up with something better.
You said
even
somehow.
equal to.
You're not. You're on a whole nother level, Paula. I got much respect for you. Much
thank
respect
you.
for you. I have your back. If
It-
anyone comes at you, you have to get me in Pillbox. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's
Because you owned it.
sorry, we're cutting out and talking over. I'm sorry, I don't mean to do
Oh,
that.
sorry. No, me either. My apology. I'm gonna mute. Go ahead.
Okay. No, that's really kind of you to say, and really timely too for you and Pillbox and several other people, because it's been horrific, and Pillbox has seen it, of things that you wouldn't believe. What, like I said, I'll give you that link later to that one website where the Christians just, jumped down my throat about having a minor disagreement. It's, Christians or non-Christians, flat earthers or ball earthers, it doesn't matter. You get treated like garbage these days if you stand up for anything or say you have the truth. What's wrong with finding the truth? Can't you find it and not just look for it? And apparently this is a terrible sin. And it's just been hammering to the point where I was just ready to hang it all up. And there's other people I know are ready to hang it all up. And people like yourself and Pillbox and some others come along and say, no, I'll go with you. And because it was the point where it's kind of affecting my heart. Our family has a hereditary thing, at least on one side, where you get skipped heartbeats, arrhythmia, which can be fatal if it isn't cared for. I don't have the money for that, but have that checked. But it was getting to the point where I'd getting so upset with people and with the treatment that I was starting to feel those symptoms. It's like, I can't do this anymore. It's dangerous now. Not just that I'm not afraid of people. It's just, I get so angry. And
well, you're such a gentle soul, and bless your heart. And I'm sorry you had to go through that. And for so-called Christians to even attack another Christian, they need to take a look at themselves and figure out if they're on the right team, because that's not very Christian-like, first off. And I wanted to give up a couple of times. I figured, what's the point? Right. No one's listening.
Right.
But there is people listening. There is people that support us, and there's people that you want to hear from us, and has been supporting me from day one. And if I just let the trolls take me down, that's giving in.
Right.
And I'm not going to give in, because I'm on the team of winning, and I'm here until the end. I'm here for the good fight. And don't if you give up, you're letting them win. Winning team. So that's not even in the books, Paula.
Right. It was just that a matter of health then. It's like, if I keep doing this, I'm going to have a heart attack. I need to calm down, and to calm down, I got to stay away from those people. That's all I could do.
Yeah, you get away. I mean, obviously it's not is if you're feeling ill effects. These people are not of God. You wouldn't have ill effects. You would have, the opposite effect. You'd have more joy, more happiness, more support, more unity. Positive things come from God and Jesus Christ, not negative. So if they can call themselves whatever they want, they could put a label all over themselves. They can slap themselves with multiple labels, but that doesn't mean that that's where they're at or what they're doing. Obviously, they're doing the opposite.
Right.
And I just pray that, Well, I'm glad you see that for what that is, because we need you, Paula. I mean, you are such a blessing, and
Thank you.
please don't, just stay away from that's evil. That's evil. Anyone who's going to make you feel ill,
Yeah, and
stay away.
that's why we all need, the parts of the body need each other, because there's certain things I don't know if it's just age or health or whatever it is that, I was telling, I don't know you as well, but I've told Pillbox and some other people, I've been in the trench warfare for decades and in the message boards and all that. And
Right.
eventually it catches up with you and you just can't, there's no more room for another knife, and you just have to stop and let other people do that from now on. And with you and Pillbox and others that can still do that, that's awesome. And that's, I can do what I do and you can do what you do. And now it's like, if I want to go out someplace and people are going to be nasty, then I'll just sick Pillbox on them, or,
Right.
and take care of the problem. Because I do,
Right.
I get so upset because I just hate falsehood. I hate lies being spread about the Bible and Jesus and other
Right,
people,
right.
my friends, and I just can't go there anymore.
Yeah.
I stay in my channel.
Yeah, I took a break, I think about for 10 months, but that didn't mean I didn't take a break from the truth. I'm still doing
Right.
research. That whole entire 10 months, I delved into, I've looked at a whole bunch of stuff, I'm still learning every day. It's a self-learning thing. It's my own passion in myself, just to share that with people. But I had to take a break from sharing it. That doesn't mean I stopped, though. I'm still going to always quest for the truth no matter what, until the day I die. But I need to take a break and just, just keep on. Yeah, you already know the situation. I don't want to get into it. But, there is people, it says, when it says, thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness. Psalms 52:3. And we just got to stay away from people like that. They don't like the truth. And then therefore we don't need to speak the truth to them. They like lies. So let them lie to themselves. We don't belong in that. Our Father is not of lies. Their Father
it used
is
to
lies.
be, you would think that you could go around and take the gospel places it hasn't been, or to people who have been hard against it, and say, look, I can be calm about it and we can discuss this rationally and we'll go over the evidence. And that doesn't even work anymore. So many people are just so dead set against it that you're just going to hurt yourself by, banging your head against the brick walls, because they don't want to hear it and they're going to attack you for saying it. And it isn't as though I have never been attacked before. That's the problem. It's been just the opposite. And eventually, it isn't just the personal thing. I think it's the society thing, that it has sunk to the point where they cannot just let you have your opinion or just say politely, I'm not interested, and then you would walk away. No, they have to chase you down the street. They have to send you emails. They have to, continually keep attacking you after you left them. And
Well, the internet is full of it's a cesspool.
It is.
It is. It's a cesspool. And these people who do these horrendous things to wonderful, blessed women like yourself, they're going to have to answer to that. It's not okay. And they want to slap a Christian label on themselves, which is a falsehood as far as I'm concerned. Anyone who chases down somebody and emails them and harasses them after the conversation, you're a sick individual. You need help. Right. You need Jesus, actually. You need Jesus. Yeah, and something's wrong with you.
Some professing Christians have done that, but mostly it's been like one message board I left, a really popular conspiracy board. I got hate mail for 3 months from a Satanist calling himself Satan, and calling me Satan. And it's just, that's how bad the world is. It is this, people will do that. And
well, like I said, everything is infiltrated.
Yeah.
Lucifer has his minions everywhere.
Right.
So you can walk into a church and you're going to find some of his minions there. You're going to walk into out and he's going to have some of his minions there. Sheep's wolves in sheep's clothing, and they're there to gather information, dox people, and just try to basically stop you from speaking the truth, because the third war is in the Bible, and the third war is for your soul. It's not going to be a nuclear war against North Korea or Russia. No, the third world war is for your soul. This is the biggest one ever. So everyone needs to be aware of that. And that's why these people are in, in their little, in their little trolling ways, they're everywhere.
Right.
So you talk against Israel, you have trolls that are going to attack you, and flag you and so forth. And then, or if you want to expose conspiracies, then you have those trolls that are going to, attack you. If you want to speak the truth and preach Jesus Christ, you're going to have those trolls attack you. And they want to shut down truth. And Jesus Christ said, I am the truth, the way, and the life. And no man comes to God but through me. And people don't like the truth.
Exactly. It's been hard because you see all these falsehoods. Yeah, and you want to just scream to everybody, no, that's not true, and they're trying to push Christians out of the conspiracy realm, out of YouTube, out of Facebook, out of Flat Earth, push us out of everything. And I'm like, well, I can't do the front lines anymore, but I have to do something. That's part of the reason for this channel, and the reason, I haven't taken mine down, because, well, I got a lot of content there, and then, as somebody, excuse me, somebody will hear it. But the thing is that I have to change how I deal with this issue, because we can't go away. We can't shut up. We can't just run away, because it's our truth, and I can't have it. And we have to do something. Absolutely. And that's what this channel's about, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I agree. I have my own channel too, and I'm not going to take that down. But this is a collaboration between three minds. We're not going to allow any BS from anybody. We're not going to allow anyone to try to pull the truth away. We're going to stay on topic, and that's it. And the topic is what we want to talk about. We're not going to allow other people to come in and take that away from what we're speaking on, or make it about, us having to explain to them something. No, absolutely not. If you want to come in and add to the conversation, that's fine. But I'm not going to sit here and debate with anybody. I've put in almost 12 years. I'm not saying I know everything. Absolutely not. And I'm open for discussion, but I'm not going to have someone tell me, oh, well, you're a conspiracy theorist, or you're no. I'm beyond all that. I'm not going to be belittled or, not taken seriously. I take this stuff very seriously. This is not a joke to me. This isn't a pastime. This is a way of life to me.
Right.
And I'm not going to allow,
we're just done
atheists to come in and tell me to explain how God is real. I'm beyond that. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it.
Right. We're just done.
I'm not going to entertain. Yeah, I'm not going to entertain these people.
Yeah, we've listened to them far too long as it is, and given them their chance to speak, and they never give us a chance in return. It's our turn to talk, their turn to shut up and listen. And they can call us an echo chamber all they want, but what they want is an echo chamber. They want to get rid of Christianity and have their own echo chamber. So.
It's all just a twisted game for them, and I'm not going to play their game. I'm fed up, and I'm saying no. I'm saying no. I'm not gonna, the situation. Pillbox told you. I'm not gonna entertain these atheists and evolutionists. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not.
Right.
There's no point. You bring one of them into this room right now, the whole room goes to crap.
Exactly.
And what are you learning?
Yeah.
Nothing. It's going back to square one.
It's like a video I did a long time ago called Atheists on the Witness Stand. They will not sit there. They want us to perpetually be on the defense, having questions thrown at us continually, like we're tied to a chair with a light over our head, and they slap us around, answer me, and want us to stay there forever. It's our turn. We're getting off the chair. We're putting the atheists there and the scoffers there and the Satanists there, and go, look, you defend what you believe. We're not here to answer questions anymore. You're here to answer for what you believe, and just try to catch up to 2,000 years of scrutiny that we've had on our faith.
Right. But not just that. I've been very tolerant with these people. So I'm just going to put that clear out there to the audience. I've dealt with people. I've done debates. I've done this for over, 6 years? I've done it. I'm not doing it anymore because it gets nowhere. It gets absolutely nowhere. So I'm not going to entertain it anymore. And that's what, so I don't want people to say, oh, you don't want to talk about it? You don't want to explain yourself? No, I've done it.
Right.
No matter what you say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much proof you have. It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
No.
Nothing.
It's the same with behavior. No matter how nice you are, you're going to get hated and called names and send hate mail. It has never been about your being a bad Christian. I even called myself that for a while. I don't know if you knew. I called myself bad Christian because I'm like, I might as well wear it.
No, you don't ever do that, Paula, ever, because you are a beautiful soul and you don't let anyone ever take that away from you. Period.
It was I
know what you're saying is that. I get it.
But yeah, yeah, that's the thing is it proves, because people will say, like with Pillbox, for example, he's all, aggressive and they're the kind of Christian that I don't, that turns me away from this. No, look, I proved to you for 10 years that I can be as nice as can be and it's still, I get the same treatment.
Exactly.
It's never been about the behavior. It's just an excuse.
It is. I've been very nice. I'll be in a room. I haven't even cussed since I've been here. Okay. I won't cuss. See? I don't have to. But I can come across aggressive sometimes because of what I've dealt with for the last 6 years, dealing with atheists and evolutionary people and even Christians.
Right.
So-called Christians are the worst. I'd rather deal with an atheist than someone who calls himself my brother.
Right.
Who's trying to attack me. Give me a break. And I'm not weak, and I'm not going to allow anyone to step on me. And so sometimes I might come across like that, but that's who I am. It's who I am. I could be talking about my favorite album, and I'll still sound the same. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's just who I am. But I've dealt with a lot, just like you, Paul. More than you've actually dealt with way more than me. I give you kudos for that. But you get your badge from Jesus Christ because you're a warrior for him, for the truth. And in the end, that's all that matters. What these other people's opinions don't mean nothing in the end. Right. They're telling you, oh, you're a terrible person, and that doesn't matter because God knows what side you're on and where your heart is.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and it's
I'm so done with these people. I'm sorry. It gets me on a rampage. Let me shut up.
Oh, no problem.
I can't stand people like that. I really can't, especially when you're such a good person. There's no reason for it. Absolutely none. It's just hateful and vindictive.
It is. And I was telling somebody this morning, I said, as soon as somebody would anymore, it's gotten to the point where somebody says, hey, I found a great Christian hangout to go to. I'm like, no, not a Christian hangout. Anything but that. That's how bad it is. They're so bad because those are the people you're supposed to feel safe around.
Right.
They make you the most vulnerable. And that's the problem is they're going to hurt you. They're going to
those aren't the real Christians, though. They label themselves a Christian. I could label myself Michael Jackson's cousin.
Right.
That doesn't mean I am.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's awful how so many people are calling themselves that, and then they wonder why we have such a bad reputation. It's like, well, what passes for Christianity these days? It doesn't surprise me. As even the Bible said that about Jews, it would certainly be the same thing with Christians, with the church at large, is that the name of God is blasphemed among the nations because of you. God would say the same thing to the churches today.
Hold on. So, somebody in the chat, Tammy is saying, is this a Christian chat or video? Yeah, it is, but it's a real Christian chat and video, not what we're talking about where people are going to attack you and say you're wrong. And it's more of go ahead. You explain it, Paula. You go ahead.
It's a delivery system.
Right. Delivery.
It's a different type of delivery system. So the delivery system that's here is that I'm going to let you have your opinion, but if you're going to attack anybody, I'm not going to let you have your attacks. You can have your opinion, but you gotta keep it to a certain level. The reality is that even Christians have. We've noticed this in the last half year. The first big problem started about 6 months ago, as you know, Rose, and the problem is the delivery system that Christians think they figured something out, like this black Hebrew Israelite thing, which I still don't even understand because I can't get these people to answer my questions. They always just say, well, do you believe this verse? And I'll say, yes, that means God hasn't given up on his people. Do you think that helps your cause? That means you have a problem. If you're calling yourself a God's original people, that's fine, but don't tell me you have an advantage of it. God had to cut off the original branches. That means the Jews failed. That means the Christians failed. That means we've all failed, and that's why it says right there, and I forget the passage, Paula, but it says that's why it says that there's no Jew or Gentile, no Greek, no man, no female in Christ. And if you are of Christ, you're automatically of the seed of Abraham. So what does lineage matter? I can't get these people to answer my question. My point, how do you know you're part of this original bloodline? And what is your advantage? I can't get either one of those questions answered. And I don't know what is the point of this? What is the point of this black Hebrew Israelites thing? Trust me, I love the black conscious community. I got involved with them in 2011, and just because it has the word black on it doesn't mean they're all black. They absolutely have open arms to any type of people, and it's a truth movement, if you want to call it that. Obviously, the only truth movement is Christianity. I will shout out some groups like Brother Sanchez, even though I obviously don't agree with him. There is an audience there that is seeking truth. Dread, you've been exposed. I had a conversation with him last night, and he was completely open arms to me and let me say everything I wanted to say. So I have to give him props for that. He's not a Christian, but he let a Christian speak, and at least I know he's for real. My only thing is that with people is that I'm not interested in your title. I just want to know if you're a real person. But if you're going to label yourself a Christian, that's when you're going to have to answer some questions, especially if you're saying some people are better than others, because then you're going against the words of Jesus Christ. What's the point of Jesus Christ if we still have to be worried about our lineage? Now, if you're not a Christian, that's a different story. But if you're going to call yourself a Christian, you can't be worried about these bloodlines anymore. They obviously don't matter. If God said that he had to send his son to die for us because everybody failed, you couldn't follow the initial law, you couldn't follow the second law, you couldn't follow the 10 commandments, and now you can't even follow the new law, which means basically the golden rule, treat everybody as you wanted to be treated. You can't even do that still. So obviously it's not about works. We can't follow the law. That's the point. You have to be saved. You cannot get yourself saved because of your works. So I'd love for these people to answer some questions, but I can't. It's not going to happen, Rose. They're just going to say, well, what about this part of the Bible? I'm going to say, yep, that's true. Now, what about this part of the Bible? I'm going to ask them about this, and they're going to ignore it every time. So yeah, I agree with you, Rose. My biggest problem is with the Christians. But like you said earlier, this is the cesspool of the world. The internet has the lowest of the low in it. Every single ass clown, liar, two-faced son of a gun out there that thinks they got it all figured out comes to the internet to tell everybody else how they have it all figured out. Well, guess what? You don't have it all figured out. Because if you don't have this one truth figured out, you don't have anything. And that's what Satan has done. He has taken this flat earth revelation and he has used it now against Christianity. Even though they always used to make fun of Christians because of this flat earth Bible book, the only flat earth book in the world, the only relevant and the only book that has any relevance at all in the history of mankind, the only book that has a lineage that it can be followed is the Bible, and that's why there is nothing else. That's why it's so easy to figure out what the truth was. The second, and I said this at the beginning of the Hangout, the second I realized God was real, I knew the Bible was right. I just didn't understand the Bible, because what other option do you have? But you have to agree with all of it, in my opinion, especially if you're going to give yourself that title, the Christian, which is my title as well. And that's why it's my biggest problem, because these people calling themselves Christians do not have the fruit of Christianity.
Exactly.
So this is a Christian channel, basically.
Oh, this is absolutely a Christian channel. That's what, right. If you see that boat there, that's the body of Christ, and it's in the blood. if you notice, and above it is Christ's army coming, and as God watches above. And that's what Paul and I put that picture together for people to get a general idea of what's going on right now. This is the body of Christ, and it's a skeleton crew. There aren't a lot of people out there that can do this job, Rose. There are lots, and there's don't get me wrong, Rose, there are millions of saved Christians out there. It doesn't mean they can be part of the army. It doesn't mean they can be part of this armada of truth. They need to sit on the sidelines, and they need to continue to hand out their milk and cookies. While I will fight in the shade.
Give us milk and cookies, and so we can regenerate in the fight and be part of the fight. But obviously, you're not built right now spiritually to be in the fight. But hopefully, one day they will be. Because when you sit around and waste time thinking about whether somebody said he is or this is, and the Bible says that are, or it says, like little things you're so worried about correcting people on, and the big fight means nothing. They're just so worried about how you interpretate, certain words and stuff like that. Whatever. As long as I respect that, but at the same time, that's not what the whole fight is about. You can't attack a brother and sister based on how they interpretate one sentence. Should you really attack somebody for that? I just don't get it.
Right. I have to go take care of something for just a few minutes. I'll be back. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, tell us the rest of the story, Rose.
Well, no, basically what I was going to say is I don't think we should waste our time trying to correct brothers and sisters on little things when there's a bigger fight.
Oh, absolutely right. Yeah, that's one of my problems is that why are we, as my father always used to say, and I'll have to change the wording a little bit because I don't want to say any bad words, but why do you pick the fly poop out of the pepper shaker? You just don't need to worry about it. We have these bigger matters that are right in front of us that are on our plate that we can't deal with. And if we can't even unite, if you can't even respect each other, and if there is an issue, though, we're really supposed to take those issues to ourselves, to our brothers and sisters in private. Hey,
in private.
Hey, this way I don't agree. Yeah, right. Oh my goodness gracious. Hey, I got a problem with this. Okay, well, you probably shouldn't have brought it up on a hangout, speaking about it and basically attacking somebody, especially since these people, we still have, excuse me, we still have these issues about gender, as if women are lesser than men. And I just can't believe it. And I just don't understand first of all, if that was true, so what? Can we deal with the big problems first? And it's not true. That's why Jesus Christ says there's no male or female in Christ. It says it right there. It's plain and simple. It's in black and white, sometimes in red. So it's written down for us to believe. Why can't we accept these parts of the Bible and move on?
Yeah, Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female. For ye are all one in Jesus Christ.
Right. Now read 29.
I don't have it up.
Now 29 says,
I don't know that one.
And if you're in Christ, you are part of Abraham's seed. So what bloodline do I need? If you're in Christ, you're in the bloodline. It's done. That's the point. If you're in Christ, you're part of that bloodline. Do you think these people stuttered when they said that? Do you think they didn't mean it? Were they kidding? Were they joking? Is it just that you're just going to accept parts of the Bible? I mean, put your money where your mouth is. What are these people trying to tell me? I can't get an answer. That's all I know.
Well, so the bottom line is, if you have a problem with your brother and sister in Christ, then you should do that in private. And which I've always done. If I've had a problem, I'll talk to somebody in private multiple times, over and over and over and over and over again, until I can't get a good response. Then I'll make a video on you. Because if you're going around telling people X, A, and Y about me, even though it's not true, when I've been taking time to even try to talk to you, but you haven't considered talking to me in private, but instead you go on live videos talking about me, but you can't talk about it in private, I have no respect for that. But that's the way it should be conducted. It should be done in private, not live on air. Pillbox, if I had a problem with you, I wouldn't air it on live. Message you, and I would keep messaging you. But How about if I kept messaging you about the problem I had, but you didn't respond to me, but you go and do a live video and you're talking about it? Because now you disrespected me because you're not addressing me privately. Instead, you're ignoring my private invitation and blasting it on live. That can't be respected. So I wouldn't consider somebody like that a brother or sister in Christ if they don't do it properly. That's not okay. That's not okay. It's more of like an attention whore. Anyways.
Yeah, what kind of attention are they trying to get though? I can't get an answer out of these people. Like, okay, what are we trying to say here? Like, what is the point though when you're worried about these small little issues?
It's drama.
Well, I think it's pride.
Okay. I
think people want to get the upper hand so they can say aha. I don't know.
Okay.
I think that's what it is. I think people love to have the upper hand. Do you know that even remember the days, man, that must have been 2 years ago, and I'll say this name. I'm going to make up a new name for the old idiots, but remember the person, I'm just going to say Noob in the Clouds. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
yeah.
these people.
Well, that's what I was talking about the whole time.
I know, right? I know.
Okay. I was being nice. I didn't say anything.
Noob in the clouds. Boy, their head's in the clouds, isn't it? Noob. Yeah. And, these people just don't get it. They don't care about truth. Noob. It is sad. It's pathetic. This guy calls himself a Christian. And you won't even look into this scripture. You won't even give us a chance to explain these things. And then you talk smack about us behind our backs. Okay, that's when I know you have a serious problem. You have a serious
that's
problem.
who I was talking about. That's who I was talking about, Bill. Exactly. I wasn't going to name names and you didn't. But that's who I was talking about. Somebody who claimed to be a brother in Christ, but would not take an invitation privately to work it out. And instead would continuously go on live and blast names and not deal with the situation. I don't think that's Christian-like. I don't think so. Not that I have anything to hide. But if you invited me on that live hangout, then fine. If that's how you want to do it, that's fine. But I wasn't even invited on the live. So, I mean, like, I don't understand that kind of behavior, but whatever. I dealt with that. It's been dealt with.
I'm back.
Man, what a massacre that used to be back in the day, Rose. That was just a disaster of just idiots all the time. It was like talking to brick walls. Oh, these people are so stupid. Tolerance. And it's the one, and they're so stupid, so they have to tell everybody how stupid they are. Like, what a great hangout that is.
Yeah. That is so true. I hate to laugh about it, but it's so true because I dealt with that for years with one individual, I think for 3 years. And I gave so many passes, and this person called himself a Christian. And I really wanted to look at him as a brother. But then once the lies started happening, I just was like, okay, I'm done. I have to out this guy. I had no choice. He pushed me in a corner for 3 years, right, Pill?
Yeah, you had to dust your shoes.
I had to dust my shoes. I didn't have a choice. And that's an extreme example. But anyways, let's get off that topic. I'm going to transfer from my computer to my phone, and so I'll be right back. And thank you for coming back, Paula.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for keeping it going.
There's plenty to talk about. All right, I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Alrighty. So, did I miss anything exciting?
No, we were just reminiscing about the old days of the 2013s and 14s and the people that we used to deal with back then. And it was just, more of the same, just more people calling themselves Christians, doing non-Christian things, which again is my biggest problem. And now, after the dust has settled, though, man, there are a lot of people attacking this truth, and it's every one of them. It's, as I always used to tell Rose, all of them. That's the problem. Right. They're all the problem. And it has reared its evil head, and here we are with the fake flat earth community, fake pseudo-intellectual, fake truthers. When I went on You've Been Exposed last night, I told Dredd, I said, man, there's only 3 or 4 real channels that I even know of, and there's thousands of channels in the truth community. Mm-hmm. And he understood, he agreed. So I got to give them props for that. I got to give them props for people that aren't Christians. I have to respect, and it's easier for me to talk to a non-Christian than a Christian when I disagree. The fact of the matter is that I have so little patience for these Christians that pretend they believe the Bible. They say, yes, I believe the Bible. It's the word of God. Okay, well then, how about this stretching a line over the foundations of the earth? How about a seal pressed in clay as the earth? And they'll go, oh, well, see, that's just a metaphor and a miracle. And then they'll ask, well, can't God just do miracles? And I'll ask them, well, can't God just do what He said He did?
Exactly.
Talk about a headache. That's the nightmares with these Christians. But I got to hand it to you. There is a conscious community out there. At least they're waking up. At least they're seeking truth. And that's where the real, outside of a very small group of Christians, that's where the real human beings are. I can at least attest to. The other people in the truth community say, well, we're in a VR world, or actually we're in a Mandela defect with giant trees and cat-tooth mountains. And and by the way, it doesn't matter anyway. It's all virtual reality anyway. Oh, by the way, though, all these mountains are giants facing up, and that's virtual as well. And by the way, these giant plateaus are actually trees that were cut down because, of course, all giants cut down trees to a perfect flat surface, because that's obviously how we see. I mean, you couldn't try to find anybody that could cut down a tree that way. I mean, it takes a little bit of work and precision to cut a tree down that way. But if this is an advanced civilization that's this big, why are they cutting down trees like men with chainsaws? It's so stupid. And they'll want to believe everything as long as it's not in the Bible.
Exactly. ABC, anything but Christianity. Yeah, that thing about the giants always facing nice profile views, and they didn't leave, they left the stumps of the trees, never pulled them up, and there's no debris around that looks like, branches and so forth. And it's just a ridiculous theory. I mean, if you think about it, but that's not what they do.
Well, the biggest problem, though, is I realized when I was listening to those Scamdella defects, as we call them, was that the guy is trying to say that the Grand Canyon is a carved out quarry. And I was like, wow, thanks for really sinking the teeth into your own neck, because that's the mark of God. That's the remnant of the great flood. That's what that came from. So right away, is if you're attacking the remnant of God's judgment, you're in a world of hurt. Eventually, you're going to be really sorry for that. And I realized right away that the deception was going to be everywhere, except for one place, which is a biblical truth. And none of these people were attesting to the Bible. And then some people would go, oh, wait a minute, though. Doesn't the Bible say there was giants? Yes. What does that have to do with this garbage? They always try to, then the next week they change their mind. Oh, well, that's just the book anyway. Well, why did you bring up the Bible then and say it had some credibility to the Bible? So it's just, there's such serpents out there. They change their minds. It's like they put a piece of food in front of you, and then as soon as you look away, it's gone. Like, what? I thought you just said it was this. Now you change your mind. And then they'll call me a broken record because I keep telling them the same truth, as if the truth is going to change. I mean, if I'm telling you the same truth, how is the truth going to change? You're the idiot that keeps asking the same questions. And the questions, as they go along, if they change the question, they get dumber and dumber. And it's really frightening, because now people that are trying to wiggle their slithering scales away from the Bible are coming up with the most basic, rudimentary, fundamental kindergarten questions, like about dogs not being able to create different types of dogs. And my point is, they're still creating dogs, aren't they? And they'll say, well, how does that work on Noah's Ark? Well, let me think, as John Gishgallo always used to say, yes, I believe all the dogs in the world came from 2 dogs instead of all the dogs in the world coming from no dogs.
Right. Or a rock or some pond scum or something like that. That makes much more sense. I mean, they don't think about the absurdity of what they're saying. It's like, it's so hard to believe that all the animals came off the ark, but you believe they came from rocks and pond scum that was struck by lightning. That's more sensible? Apparently so.
Yeah. And turn into different species on top of that, with different DNA strands and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And gills turn to lungs, no problem. No, you get the whole system all at once. It just
sounds
evolves
about right. Sounds about right.
It's like I was explaining one day about how giraffes must have evolved, because You know, they have this long neck, and they have a tremendous amount of blood pressure that pushes the blood up to the brain. Of course, when they bend down to get a drink, it should make their head blow up because of all the pressure, but they have this sponge-like organ in their head that absorbs the extra blood until the pressure can regulate. Then they get a nice drink, and then when they put their head back up, they should pass out because there's not enough pressure. Well, that little sponge knows to release, and so it has enough blood in its brain until the heart catches up. Sure, that happened by trial and error. Not. I mean, you know, how many times can you trial and error that until you get it right? That's
Good point.
The really bizarre thing.
That's a good point. But everything that they say is fallible, anyways.
Yeah, it makes sense to them, but nobody else. But we're the fools for believing that Jesus rose from the dead.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Gotta believe something. Don't be a fence sitter. That's for sure. You know, at least they chose a side.
So many people now just don't want to take a stand on anything, and they think it's strange if you do. And when we did Revelation, where it's like Jesus said, "I'm going to spit you out of my mouth because I wish you were either too hot or too cold. You know, be a terrible, anti-Christian or be an on-fire Christian, but don't sit on the fence." And
it's kind of like Goldilocks. It just reminded me of Goldilocks. You know how it was just right. It's not too hot, not too cold, just right. And that's a fence sitter.
Yep, exactly. And that's what we said earlier about not wanting to find the truth. You're allowed to look for it, but not find it, because then you're arrogant if you have the truth. So it's crazy.
Jesus Christ is the truth. I found him. He found me.
Yep. And that thing that they say about all paths leading to God, it's like, well, didn't Jesus say that the way was wide and well traveled, with all the people going on it? That's the way to death. And you say you like Jesus, so figure it out.
That path is narrow.
Yeah.
Narrow. Not traveled, not well traveled as the bigger road.
It just floors me also. Yeah, about with flat Earth, it's like, well, this is the one conspiracy you can't talk about. Even in conspiracy board, even the UFO people will put you aside and mock you for believing in flat Earth. Well, if that's what makes something true, then what about the Bible? What about Christianity? What is it that flat earthers don't want you to talk about? What is it they're trying to get rid of and mock? And
I've seen UFOs, but I don't think they're coming from space. I think it's a whole another dimension. I don't know where they're coming from, but I see them every day. I just saw one a couple hours ago. I seen one yesterday. Seen a couple the other day. I mean, I see them every day. Just look up at the sky. If it's not sprayed with chemtrails, so you can't see the stars, but if it isn't, then you should be looking because stuff's happening up there. But that doesn't mean it's in space. No.
Right. Yeah, I was just saying
Absolutely
how the UFO community will say, oh, you believe in flat Earth, you're crazy.
But they believe in UFOs.
Right.
UFOs are real. I've seen them.
Well, yeah, I'm saying that they're
so dismissive.
Crazy. Yeah.
They're dismissive.
Right.
For their own pride.
Right, exactly.
I mean, both are correct.
Right. And that's the thing is, it's the irony.
Who are you to tell?
Yeah.
Right. Who are you to tell me I'm crazy? I think we're both correct, and we need to find in between where we can say, you know what, this is happening, and expose that instead of quarreling between us, joining together.
Right.
It's okay. We can join.
Right.
I'm not going to just because I've seen UFOs. I'm not going to dismiss that those aren't real. I know they're real.
Right. We just disagree on where they come from. Yeah.
Right. But that doesn't mean they're not real.
Exactly.
We have to stop dismissing people so quickly.
That would be nice.
It would be nice, right? Why can't people just be nice?
I know.
I think people should just be nice. difficult to
I
be
know.
nice to people.
I actually got somebody. I was in a chat room once, and people were. I was like, can we just kind of like raise the bar on behavior a little bit? We're better than this. Well, oh, you should have seen the reaction. It's just like, oh, you're not my mother. Blah blah blah. Can't
Whoa,
stand it.
that's childlike.
It is.
Well, I
It's
mean,
juvenile.
yeah, it's very juvenile and emotionally challenged people. But I think what it is that we could be nice about disagreeing. To try to destroy somebody because they don't believe what we believe. I think we can just acknowledge their point of view, which I've done to other people for years. But I moved on from those. But the other ones, I'm open for a discussion, like UFOs and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I'm open to that. I will discuss that. And if they don't believe in flat Earth, fine, but don't belittle me.
Right.
Don't do that.
But they do, and that's 90% of what they do.
To truth. I think by trying to belittle somebody is not going to get you closer to truth. You have to stay focused.
And I don't know why people take a really hostile, aggressive, attacking posture think they're going to win somebody over that way. It's like, you know what? If you're trying to convince somebody to be a Christian or a flat earther or whatever it is, and you come at them with a knife in your hand and go, you're stupid for disagreeing with me, you should believe what I believe. Nothing could make them not want to be what you are than that. I mean,
right. I don't want to be a knife-wielding maniac like you.
Right. And they just keep doing that. It's like if you want to convince people they shouldn't believe in the Bible or something, you might want to consider changing your approach, for crying out loud. This is not working.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It's just when you've been doing it for as long as me and Pill and you have been doing it, you've stayed very solemn, which I appreciate, Paula. And I look up to you as a sister.
Oh, thank you.
Somebody that I could behave like, because I've been that knife wielding person. I have, because of all the attacks I've gotten, where you just have no choice. You're in the corner and you have no choice but to pull out a weapon and be like, back up,
Right.
But I didn't just start like that. I was pushed in the corner.
Right.
That I think there's a difference between defending yourself and being aggressive. Okay, so there's a fine line there, though. Okay, so I don't think I'm aggressive, but I will defend myself.
That's really all I've ever done.
But it could come across as aggressive to other people. But I'm not that type of person. I'm just defending myself.
Right. And people will take it as an attack just because you defend yourself. That's how bullies are. They will egg you on and irritate you and push you to the break, and then go, look what she did.
Oh, I've had that happen. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then take that part out of a hangout and then make a video on it.
Right. Exactly. That's what they do. That's what they do.
That one part.
One mistake.
You don't include the 2 hours before that I was very lenient and very patient and explaining things. You don't take that part. You just wait until I get to a point where I'm just ready to tear your face off. And then you post that. And look.
Right.
Rose Patton. Look at Rose Patton. I'm like, that's not who I am.
Right.
And then interpretation.
And when you're in these environments all the time, you tend to be in that mode a lot because people keep poking at you and taking issue with you for walking in the room and living and breathing. And so you get an attitude. But even then, if you restrain yourself, it's still never going to be good enough. I mean, I've proved that many times over. It doesn't matter.
It's like a lion being in the zoo. You keep poking it, it's going to be aggressive. That doesn't mean it was being aggressive.
Right. They don't care who started the fight. They don't care.
So I hope people understand these different scenarios we're pointing out there, just to understand us as individuals from this point on in the channel, so you understand where we're coming from. A little bit of getting to know us a little bit, because these are the scenarios that we've been through, and we've been poked, you know, we've been ridiculed. Right. We have false videos out there on all of us. I think all three of us, right? Right. Multiple, which is fine, because the more videos they make on you, obviously you're doing something that they have to take the time to make a video on you. I mean,
right. Just like I told Pillbox the other day, I said, now I know why pirates have one eye, one hook hand, and one leg.
They've been brutalized.
Exactly. It's a dangerous business.
Exactly. It is. No one said it was going to be easy, and that's fine. I signed up for this, and that's fine. I right. take that. But just so people realize that, you know.
Right. And eventually,
we've been through a lot.
Everybody's mileage.
And I'm willing to go through even more.
Yeah.
Yeah. The mileage is different.
I just can't. It's a matter of inability anymore to, as the saying goes, suffer fools. I just don't. I got no patience left for people who want to go back to square one continually, or say the Jesuits did it when they didn't exist, and that kind of nonsense. I just can't handle anymore.
Right, but I'm open for people who ask legitimate questions, who really want to know. Like, if they were like me, right. and that are asking questions, no, well, what do you mean by that, Rose? Like, where did that start from? And you are genuine, I will take the time. I will sit on a private hangout with you. I would do a live hangout with you. I will explain till I can't explain anymore. If that's what I need to do, I don't care. That's okay. But when somebody is asking questions, but they're only asking questions to try to dig you a grave,
right?
You know, or trying to, yeah. I don't have time for that. No.
Oh, well, speaking of which, speak of the devil right now, look at this. We have our lovely crew of the Red October in the chat right now, trying to help somebody out with some questions right now at this moment. That person, I'm not going to say their name. I don't know them well enough yet, but I will say it starts with a T. So I'll call that person Tango right now. But as you notice, Victoria, excuse me, and Bob are talking to this person, and this person is saying if the earth was flat, you'd be able to see Mount Everest. Now, this is pretty funny because you can't even see the mailbox down at the end of the street. But you know, people, I mean, this is really weird.
Come on!
I mean, dear Lord, let's think about this for a second. Do they not realize, Rose, that as you go away from objects, watch this, as you go away from objects, they appear to be smaller. I know this might sound crazy to you, but no, you can't see forever because you don't have binocular eyes. Now, an eagle might be able to do a little bit better than you, but not even an eagle is going to be able to see thousands of miles. So you know what we have invented in the last 100 years, Rose? Something called radar that sees for you. It uses the electromagnetic spectrum. And what it does is it sends waves out in a point direction, and it bounces those through or off or around objects to show you things at great distances. Now, what's funny about this is that I can see mountain ranges at 40, 50, 60, 70 miles away, and they're all lined up on the same plane straight out. In fact, the farther something is away, it is usually requires you to look higher, not lower, higher. You actually have to look over the terrain. And people just don't realize, because they've been so brainwashed by government cartoons, that even the simplest, most basic fundamental principles of life escape these people. Like even a 4-year-old kid, you can ask a 4-year-old kid, how come when daddy drives down the road, you can't see him anymore? The 4-year-old kid's going to go, because you drove away. Correct, little Billy. Correct, Sally. That's right. As mom and your dad drives away, you're no longer going to be able to see that vehicle, but guess what? You can see mountains in the distance. And yes, Mount Everest is very far away. In fact, you would be better off seeing and detecting the hairs on an ant's head before you'll be able to see a mountain that's across this plane of existence. I mean, can you see the ants on the brick wall at the end of the football field? No, because they even get smaller
and they're already small. So you can't see the mailbox down at the end of the street. You can't even see the house sometimes at the end of the neighborhood. Why would a mountain magically stay the same size so that I'm able to see it? Like, people just don't put this common sense together and realize that objects appear to get smaller as you go away. I hope that's not too complicated.
I think what they're doing is thinking about their mirror on their car that says objects appear to get maybe closer.
No, yes, they are closer than they appear. No, they are closer than they appear. That's the reality.
Yeah. Maybe they're confused.
It's quite odd, the excuses you'll get from people. And it is a brainwashing sequence of events that has happened in our lifetimes and even before us.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is the entire world only works on the premise of a flat plane of existence. And I just don't understand where they get these questions from, because when you and Rand Campbell told me these two words 3 years ago, flat Earth, almost 3 years ago,
it was longer than 3 years ago.
I don't know. I'm just talking. Let me think about it. Okay. I thought, wow, I really don't have anything to go against that. Because I was honest with myself. What was I going to do? I had to look. If you're presented with an idea that you really haven't put a lot of thought into, your first job is to remain silent and listen. Not say, why can't I see things the same way as they are right in front? I mean, it is so weird when people take that avenue instead of going, wait a minute, I better look into this, because we've already been indoctrinated by that belief system. We had to change our minds, and now we understand objects get smaller if we get farther away from them. When you're driving down the highway, watch this example. When you're driving down the highway and you got, let's say, street lamps that are at night, and we can see the street lamps. As you drive up to the street lamp, it appears to be getting higher, right? But is it getting higher? No, that's called your perspective. There's something called the fact of perspective. I don't need to call it a law. It's a fact that perspective changes your what? Perspective. That depends on where you are. It's a fact of life. So as I go away in my rearview mirror, the street lights now appear to be getting lower. But are they lowering? No, they do not get magically pulled down by the Ninja Turtles as I drive away in my solipsism world. They remain at the same height. Right? We know that the street lamps are probably not going up and down like the candy canes at the Wally World theme park when you go to the Princess Wonderland. When you go to, what's it called? What is that one thing? It's a small world. It's a small world after all. Yeah, it's a small world after all.
Oh, they're going up and down, up and down.
Yeah, the candy cane. That's not how street lamps work. No. So the ones in front of me are appearing to get taller. The ones behind me are appearing to go lower because your perspective. Oh, just like the sun and moon. What a coincidence.
Right. Absolutely. Wow, you broke that down. Oh, I've been saying out. Holy crap. Okay.
I was just typing in chat that, that somebody says that they can see curvature from a helicopter. And I'm like, well, no, wait a minute. They tell us we can't see curvature even from a commercial jet. So I don't know who to believe anymore.
So helicopters have bubble windows. They're kind of like fly eyes, right? They're bubbled. They're not flat. None of the windows on a helicopter is flat. They have a slight curve.
Wait a minute. Watch this. Hold on. Wait a minute. Watch this.
And also, just one thing. Just one thing.
Go
also,
ahead.
One thing. Programmed to perceive something in a certain way, then you're going to see it that way. Go back in the helicopter and think that it's a flat Earth, and then look out the window, perceive it again. Because there is even drive airplanes, commercial airplanes, pilots that are told that the Earth is round and perceive it that way until they see it otherwise, and then they finally go, oh my God, why didn't I see it? It's because you're programmed. You're programmed with a round ball Earth in your kindergarten class saying this is where you live. You're 5 years old. How are you going to say no? You're just going to say, oh, okay. You're going to agree. And then you're going to be told everything is round. Everything is excuse my language. Everything is balls. Here's Mars. Here's Jupiter. Here's Venus. All balls, right? And you're on a ball and you're flying through space, thousands of miles an hour, just flying through space, and all these things are just floating around you, and they're perfect, whatever. And it just sounds really chaotic. I don't see how that works, and how people can even agree that works, because I don't see it in my sky personally. I'm seeing the same constellations, and it's also dated that these same constellations have been in the sky for over 2,000 years. It hasn't changed. If we're flying through space, why aren't we seeing other stars?
Right.
Went into other galaxies or a black hole, or like, where are we going anyways? Like, I'm still seeing Venus, I'm still seeing Sirius, I'm still seeing the Big Dipper, Orion, same stars that have been mapped for thousands of years. So are all these stars floating with us too at thousands of miles an hour through space for 2,000 years, and it's all the same? Like,
no, they're
that's
actually
the best
going
magic I've ever
quadrillions.
heard
Nope, hold on. All right, they're actually going quadrillions
Go
of trillions of quadrillions of miles an hour to follow us, which makes perfect sense. But here's the thing: when somebody makes this statement, especially when a helicopter is pretty desperate, then the average statement is usually, "I can see it from an airliner." An airliner is much higher than any helicopter. Maximum ceiling capability of a helicopter is roughly 25,000 feet. How do I know that? Well, that's how high Mount Everest is, and most of them can't even get up there. They can't even get up to 25,000 feet. So the reality is, in an airliner, we have only, I don't know, 500 million pictures from the air that show a flat plane of existence, unless altered or unless using a fisheye lens. Not to mention now, all the experts and even NASA claims that you have to be over 100,000 feet. That's the new latest claim, except for some really strict weirdos that are absolutely out of their minds that say you can actually see it on the beach, which is really funny. But now they're saying you have to be at 100,000 feet. But again, the person on the internet that hasn't looked into any of this says you can see it from a helicopter. That just means you haven't looked into this. And again, I caution people to just wait a second. You've been deceived. That's the point. So you actually have to look into this stuff to understand it. If you don't look into it, you won't get it. But helicopter pilots are nowhere near seeing any curvature, and they will admit it. And I know many helicopter pilots. I don't have to anyway, because I've taken my own photos from over 40,000 feet. And here's the funny thing.
Beautiful.
Here's the funny thing. I thought I saw curvature too. I re-looked at the photos going, no, let me show you. I got the curve. I look at my photos and I go, oh, oops.
Yeah,
no curvature.
You told
but
me.
I was, right,
you
right.
said, you told me.
Right.
I told you the earth is flat, and you said, no,
Right.
No.
So I've been there. I've been there. Yes.
Thought about it.
Right. Watch this.
Yeah.
Sorry, a little later. Right. I had to reevaluate. I had to stop myself. I've been there. I've made the mistake, but at least I was able to recover. And boy, do I thank God for giving me the humility to be able to admit that I'm wrong. Here's the fact of the matter is, whoever said that, you've been deceived. Now, I don't know if your entire life has been a lie, but there's a big portion of it that is an absolute fallacy, and you don't even know where you're living right now, and you've never seen curvature yourself, and if you did, you should have taken a picture of it, and I dare you to take a flight tomorrow. By the way, it's still legal, $199.95 to get from your place to the next state over. You'll be at least 35,000 feet, and when you come back with those curvature pictures, we will stop these hangouts tomorrow. Best of luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. Pillbox, like when we told you the earth is flat, you were just like, what? And you were quiet. And you just listened, like you said. You listened. Right. And you didn't say anything.
Gotta be quiet. Gotta listen.
And you didn't, I believe you didn't say anything for about 6 months. About 5.
No. It was about 6. No. It was about 6 days. Let me tell you. Listen, I knew right away that. Hold on. Yeah, it seems like a long time. Because listen,
it did.
That night, yes, it seemed like forever. That night, I knew something was wrong, and I knew it was wrong because I knew that everybody that was saying we were on a ball was a perverted liar. And I looked at the world around me, and I looked at I looked at the information about who was saying we were on a ball.
You did come back and say I have pictures.
Well, I came. Well, that's the reality, though. The reality, though, is that we didn't even talk about it because Flat Earth hadn't even taken off yet. This was before the Flat Earth movement.
There's no Flat Earth at all. nobody
Right.
was talking about flat Earth on
Right.
the
There was
YouTube.
nothing
If they
about
were,
it. So
I don't know anybody.
right. So the fact of the matter was, I got back to my own photography above 40,000 feet, and I went,
Right.
"Oh my God." And I was
Yeah.
so shocked, I remained silent for another couple of weeks. I knew it within 24 hours and was so shocked.
Oh.
I didn't even know what
Oh.
to say. Well, my point is, I didn't even know how I was going to discuss this because I knew everything was going to change. And not only
Seemed like
was
forever.
it, it was so crazy because it was like God had already given me the evidence and he was like, haha, you said you saw the curve, you dummy. And God's laughing
You
at me.
took the evidence.
And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I just lied to these people. I told them I saw the curve because I remember trying to get a picture of the
Right.
curve. See, that's the thing. I was trying to see the curve. I took my picture the best I could, and it was flat as a pancake from left and right.
Yeah.
And even the distance to
Yeah.
the horizon calculator, which is flawed, if I even put in distance to the horizon calculator, they're saying it's over 500 miles out and maybe even over 600 miles from left to right. And that's in a very small view. I have 600 miles of flat Earth, which doesn't work
Yeah.
on a 25,000 mile circumference ball. Thanks for playing. The Earth is flat, and that's the easy part. If you can't get past flat Earth, you're in a world of trouble. You are literally in a world of trouble.
And another point is that we're not trying to tell you have to believe in the flat Earth. No, not at all. But if you were on a flat Earth, wouldn't you want to know? And shouldn't we tell you if that's a possibility for you to consider and look into? Not for it, but look into it. The math. Do the calculations yourself. Take pictures yourself. Like I said, do your own research. Never take anybody's word for anything. But there's no reason for us to mislead you. I'm not going to get anything out of it. If you believe in flat Earth or not, I'm not going to get anything out of it. I can give a damn. I really can. But I think you should know the truth. I give a damn about you knowing the truth. But if you do or don't, it really is not going to, like me, I'm not going to get anything out of it. I think that everybody deserves to know the truth, and you've been lied to. And you also need to look into who runs NASA. NASA started from Project Paperclip. Those are scientists from the Nazis that were into propaganda. So we have scientists that are involved in propaganda coming to the United States, starting our space program. Hello? So you should really consider what you're being told by these agencies and who runs these agencies and where did these agencies even start from. You have to look at the beginning. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Don't be a fool, period. If you want to downplay on people, whatever, that's your business. But don't downplay yourself. Please don't. Because this is your life. You have to live. And if you want to be in denial, that's your choice. But we're out here telling you, you've been lied to. And these are these programs that you believe in that are telling you the truth, and they're not. They're Nazi propaganda scientists.
There's a question in the chat, statement in the chat, that the Bible doesn't say the earth is flat. Well, it doesn't say it's a ball either. So if we're going to argue from silence, we can say no advantage there.
Well, it says, no, that's not true. It says the four corners.
Yeah, but
it says the four corners.
And they could
There's a lot of proof of flat earth in the Bible. I can go into 7 different verses. How many?
Right.
16?
I mean, that was just
There's
argument
a lot.
number one. Argument from silence.
Oh, okay.
The Bible doesn't say. Yeah, and then,
okay.
then you would say, well, every time the Bible does talk about the earth, it always is flat, stationary, circular, etched into the ground, and or whatever the clay under the seal and all that sort of thing. Never described as moving, never described as spherical.
Right, and also. I'm sorry, just real quick.
Stars go around the earth. They're never described another way, and people can write it off as just from our viewpoint, but that's the whole point, that the sun, moon, and stars were made to be seen from our viewpoint as to tell
right.
us the time and the seasons.
Right, and also back in the day, if you even considered that the earth was round, they would kill you. They knew the earth was flat. Also, you need to look into who is the first person that introduced the round earth. The round earth. Who did that? Who is he? So, to your history, everybody who's interested, go back in your history and look up said the earth was round, because before that, everybody believed the earth was flat. Everybody. Until this one person said, I don't know if it's Plato, I don't know who it was, said that the earth was round. Who is he? Because he's just like the people who are like NASA, who are propaganda. He's just like them. He's one of them. So go and look into their history. Who introduced that? That's what you need to go to. Because before we even went to the moon, in our movies, we had the round earth. In the beginning of our movies, MGM, I believe. And this was before we even supposedly went to the moon. They're already telling you the earth is round. But we never even went to the moon. How do you know the earth is round if nobody even left off the earth to go to the moon? Nobody's seen pictures, but you're hypnotizing and selling people on this round earth before a rocket has even taken off. Look at MGM. MGM, round earth, in their movies was before we went to the moon. This was propagandized. Okay, everybody, just please do your research. Do your research, because if it's a round earth, it takes away from God. It takes away from the Creator. And they take your soul.
And you know what else takes away?
Okay.
It does the same thing as the Ball model is, and the Big Bang is infinite plane and virtual reality. They all do the same thing. And that's why I think they're changing it so that they can, they can no longer hide it, and that the true shape. And so now they're going, okay, well, there's more flatness out there, or there's more puddles. It's a virtual game world where it just keeps, spawning new rooms and stuff like that. As long as they keep us insignificant and accidental, even if they can't get around the accident, the design part, and they make it a game theory or whatever they want to do, the idea is always the same. It's always get you away from the God of the Bible, and the simple explanation, the Occam's razor explanation, which is in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The heavens is God's throne, the earth is his footstool, and footstools are generally not ball-shaped or moving, among other things. But that's what all of them have in common, and quantum physics is part of that. It's all, we can make magic happen with science and put formulas on it, and therefore you're still insignificant. And that's all they're after with all of those theories.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. The infinite plane theory is the exact same thing as the heliocentric model without the curve. But the fact of the matter, listen to this person's logic. My pizza box doesn't say flat either. Can somebody show me on the pizza box where it says this is a flat pizza? 99.9% of pizza boxes in the world just say, this type of pizza, that type of pizza. Where's the word flat? It doesn't say it. That's the reality. So I guess my pizza isn't flat either. By that logic, my pizza is not flat because the box doesn't say flat. However, in Job 38, when you go through Job, you're looking at the greatest flat earth scripture in the entire Bible. That literally, that part of the book goes over and over. It talks about the foundations of the earth. Show me how a spinning ball has foundations. And it says, God stretched a line over those foundations. Okay, try to make a ball with a line. You think you can make a ball with a line? You're in for a big surprise. You can't do it. And that's the specified detail that's reiterated over and over again. Then going even further, Paula, which one is it where it says that the earth is like a seal pressed in clay?
Right.
Have you ever seen a stamp or a clay seal made? It's flat. It only works one way. God doesn't have to say flat. That's like saying God had to say the sun is bright. Well, the sun isn't bright because the Bible doesn't say it. So the sun is bright. It's a greater light. It doesn't have to reiterate and go into more detail, but it clearly only works one way. And then what does it say? It's that Satan went to and fro. It doesn't say he went around and around. I mean, the reality is this has nothing to do with evidence. People have been so indoctrinated, they will come up with any excuse they need
to hide from this truth because it scares them. Because now, if the earth turned out to be flat, they would have to admit to it, and then they'd have to tell their friends that are going to say they're stupid. But this person doesn't have a leg to stand on. It's just the same regurgitation. And what it does, it just proves that they haven't looked into anything, because it takes only 5 minutes to look into these facts and realize that you've been deceived. That's how the entire premise of long-range distant works. There's a reason why the military-industrial complex, including, you name it, any Air Force in the world, the United States Navy, the Marine Corps, and even the Israeli Air Force, the Russians, for a reason, have to use an azimuthal equidistant projection. It has to be based on literally what's called a flat Earth map, for a reason, or they don't get to go from A to B. Not only that, we have 4,000 years of ship travel through all history. People knew that it only worked one way. No one. Why is it that only until 2015 people started talking about a southern pole star, where throughout of history no one ever saw it until the internet was made? Now, and of course, by people that can't even leave their mother's basement, know about something that the entire world never knew about. I mean, it's just a massive deception of people that think government cartoons are real. And sadly enough, though, ladies, these people have not got out and seen the world with their own eyes. They're stuck in their cubicles. They're stuck in their homes, not even researching what reality is. And the next thing the person's going to say is, oh, well, what about the way things in the sky work? You know, and it's just going to be one excuse after the other. If they wanted the truth, you would have found it by now. I mean, flat Earth has only been exploding for 3 years now. Anybody with two, like John Gishgallo says, if you got 2 cents to rub between your ears, it only works one way.
Well, it's like the line from Pirates of the Caribbean: reasons got nothing to do with it. They don't have reasons. They have excuses, and people protect the status quo, and they avoid cognitive dissonance at all costs. And that's what flat Earth is. But that's mostly what Christianity is. But and it's not as much that as it is, though, an assault on pride. That's what stops people from being Christians. Then they will go to any other religion. If they must go to a religion, they will go to something else, because they can still work for it, and they can still do things their way. You know, even if they follow somebody else's rules, they can still say, I checked off the boxes, I did what I was supposed to do, and therefore God has to do certain things because I did certain things. It's like making a deal with God. And so they are just not willing to look into something that's too good to be true, you know, or they think they should have to suffer or have to work. And Jesus doesn't appeal to the ego. He doesn't appeal to the flesh. He just appeals to mercy and recognizing truth. And that's the thing that should be uniting the Christian community, is truth above all. Whatever truth is, that's what we're after. And why anybody would say no, you know, the earth can't be flat because science first, is saying they don't respect the Bible. And that's a big problem. And that's why one of the reasons this channel exists is because not only do we have people who don't want to find truth, they just want to look for it endlessly, but we also have Christians who also don't respect the Bible. And if you don't have that, if you don't have an objective anchor, you aren't going to have unity, and because you don't have unity, you're going to be fragmented, and that's what the world counts on. And that's why and how the Christian community, so-called, is being pushed out of the equally fragmented flat Earth community, because one thing that unites them, even though they're divided on so many other things, is their hatred of Christianity and the Bible. That's the one thing that they can all lock arms on. But we can't, as Christians, seem to lock arms on anything, even the Bible or you know, with the basic truths that the Bible teaches. And we need to figure that out. And we're hoping that this channel will be a place where at least we can get a start on that.
Yep, this is just, you know, we probably went much longer than we should have, because this was supposed to just be an intro video, and I wanted to keep it really short, but of course that never works out. And I'm glad it's Rose's fault, because she joined and we had to go much further. And I appreciate the people in chat. And I guess did she take off, right? Is she gone, or did she drop out?
Don't know if she said. Don't see a message anywhere.
Well, you know, we got to conduct our business off air anyway to take care of this paperwork anyway. So
yep.
That we have anyway. So we're going to have some discussions off air to see what the laundry looks like, if the bleach worked or not.
So I think we should probably end it off anyway. This was just supposed to be more of an intro to the channel, but I appreciate the loyal viewers and the Christians, and even the dwindling lust out there that we're going to try to help you out, and we're going to work on you some more. But again, you have to desire the truth to find the truth. So that's what it comes down to. Do you have any words before we end it off, Paula?
Mainly, I guess, just to say we hope to do more hangouts. We don't have a schedule. We just kind of fire up when everybody's available, and don't necessarily have a topic other than that. Those tend to present themselves as we go around other places on the internet, and to just try to stand up for truth and have a place where flat earth Christians or just flat earthers, if they're respectful, can hang around without the trolls, without the nonsense that keeps people, on hamster wheels all the time, and try to at least sound a clear message of what truth is. And yes, you can find it. Here it is. Here's the way out of here. Jesus is the way out. And that's what we're about. And hopefully we can get our technical issues worked out and be able to play some videos and whatnot. But other than that, I don't know if I'm running tomorrow. I never know. So we'll just have to hopefully subscribe, as people say. Be sure to subscribe. And that's pretty much all I have to say for now.
Very good. Is there anything in the chat that we overlooked?
I don't think so. I haven't watched the whole thing, but it doesn't look like it.
All right, then I guess it's going to work out this way. It is 9:07 west of the Rockies, south of the 33rd parallel. This is blood always finds its level. There is a separation of the waters from the waters, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate everybody being here. This is MG42 Pillbox with the captain of this ship, Knowledge Scavenger. Paula, thank you very much. And thank God Rose Patton showed up. The general is back in the building, ladies and gentlemen. And we will see you again next time. Thanks again.